Long here from the Wisconsin Live Desk here at Fox 6 Studios. Your time is 12:30 on your Wednesday afternoon. Following a number of stories, everything from politics to what's happening in our community here in Southeast Wisconsin, specifically in Milwaukee. And we're also following what's happening with regard to the Bucks. We'll get to all of those stories and more in just a few minutes here on the Live Desk. But we want to begin with an investigation that Milwaukee police are following. Our Christina Van Zelfs is looking into this for us. She's continuing our coverage on this investigation. Christina, we know there was a shooting involving 3 teens. I believe one of them died. What do we know so far about this investigation, my friend?
Yeah, hey Donovan. I just checked in with Milwaukee police this morning to see if there have been any arrests made in this shooting. They tell me they still are looking for the people involved. As you said, one of those teens, a 19-year-old named Jarvis Willis, did pass away at this shooting. This all happened near this building here on Fond du Lac Avenue near Hoyt on Saturday. And Donovan, one of the new angles we're following up with today is we actually talked with the attorney who's representing the landlord of this building. He said that there has been several issues with the person who is leasing from the property owner, saying they're taking that person to court. They have a hearing on Friday, but his whole point is that allegedly there is a person who has been breaking in. They have a lease here, they turned in the keys, but then broke back in and is holding parties with over 100 people in this vacant building. The attorney says that that person does not have any licenses to do so. So just a lot of illegal activity, if you will, happening here. And the attorney for the landlord says if that wouldn't have happened, if there hadn't have been a gathering here Saturday night, he doesn't think that there would have been that shooting. So that's the angle we're taking today, just talking with the issues that have happened here at this property and that new information from the attorney about how they are taking that man who had a lease here to court on Friday.
Let me ask you this. Is there any way that the landlord has been able to try and curtail this violence, mitigate the issues that apparently this landlord is causing?
So just for clarification, it's not the landlord. So the landlord, the person who owns the building, has had issues with the person they're leasing to.
I'm sorry, so the tenant.
The
yes,
person
my apologies.
Yeah, the tenant. Yep. So the tenant, they took the tenant to court earlier this year in June because that tenant was not paying rent, but then was still living here. Mind you, this is not an apartment building. These are, it's just a vacant business at this point. But they took that tenant to court. They lost that case because the judge said the tenant still had over a year on their lease. So then they had to go back and give the tenant a 30-day notice. That is what this new open case is about, because they're saying the tenant turned in the keys and then broke in, changed the locks, and is hosting parties here. And they're also hoping that Milwaukee police will actually show up to this eviction hearing later this week, just to talk about the criminal activity they say has been going on, for some factual support to hopefully get this person evicted, is what they tell us that is currently in the works.
Question, Christina, and I don't know if you are able to answer this, but does the tenant have a repeated history of illegal behavior, criminal behavior, or behavior that is not conducive to honestly renting responsibly?
Nothing that we can find in public records at this point, but again, when you have somebody who's not paying the rent, and there's proof of that here, we have that court case, not paying their rent and then not having any licenses to have the events they're apparently hosting here, that is why there's this eviction notice now to get that person evicted, because of the issues it's caused, both the landlord and then of course you had this 3 people shot, 1 person killed on Saturday. The attorney for this property saying that is a result of this person leasing the space. So when it comes to that background, there's not a lot of that necessarily out there, but there is those previous court cases in June that were filed to get that person evicted, and now of course you have the new open case where there is a hearing on the 7th.
With regard, Christina, to the person police say shot these teenagers, do we have a description of the person? Do police know who they're looking for? Have we heard anything from the victim's family, or is that still kind of unknown at this time?
Unfortunately, it's still unknown. Milwaukee police sent me a very short sentence this morning saying we're still seeking unknown suspects. So they haven't shared that information publicly. And we did talk with the family of one of the victims on Sunday. There was a balloon release here for that 19-year-old. And there seems to be some ideas maybe of what happened, but all of it at this point is just hearsay and nothing proven. No one is in custody. So, of course, we always say this, but if you're watching and you know something, you can send in a tip anonymously through Crime Stoppers. But at this point, Milwaukee police just gave us that very short, still looking for unknown suspects at this time.
All right, Christina Venzel reporting for us on this investigation. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day from News Gathering to join us here with the latest on the investigation. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing your reports later on this afternoon, my friend. Thank you, as always.
Thanks.
Yes, of course, of course. All right, folks, I want to switch gears now to talk about what's happening here. This is a live look at what's going on at the MATC. We know the FAST Fund in Milwaukee Area Technical College. They are hosting this emergency community resource event right here in direct response to, of course, the government shutdown, which has now become the longest in American history. We can tell you that because of the shutdown, many residents are feeling like they don't have access to critical benefits such as SNAP, child care, and medical assistance. So what's happening here is what's called Community Day. This is taking place from 11 this morning to 2 in the afternoon. This is at MATC's downtown campus. If you are watching and are interested in attending this for various reasons, we know that this event will feature dozens of community partners providing direct support, including Milwaukee Diaper Mission, community advocates, and other groups like Fathers Making Progress. So a lot of these organizations and grassroots efforts are in existence here. This is all in an effort to make sure that people in our community don't go without a meal, don't go without resources to help their children and themselves. So this is something that is going to be incredibly beneficial, as you can imagine, as lawmakers, both Republicans and Democrats, continue working out a deal that will reopen the government. But as it stands right now, we have now crossed into the longest government shutdown in American history. This is impacting millions of people, as you can imagine, including federal workers who still are showing up to work without a paycheck. So all of that in response has led to what you're seeing here live in real time on your screen. Community advocates, supporters, dignitaries, other grassroots efforts and organizations kind of banding together to make sure our folks here, some of which who are our viewers, do not go without food, do not go without resources, perhaps diapers for their children. All of this, of course, in an effort to make sure that folks around Southeast Wisconsin feel supported, feel heard, and feel seen. Again, if you're watching this, this is a partnership between the FAST Fund and the Milwaukee Area Technical College. They are hosting what's called this Emergency Community Resource Event, obviously in direct response to the ongoing shutdown. We know that this is taking place from 11 in the morning to 2 this afternoon. So 11 to 2, this is how long this is running. This is at the MATC's downtown campus. If you are looking for specifically the address, this is going to be 700 West State Street. It's going to be at the South Building on the 2nd and 3rd floors. This event featuring dozens of community partners providing direct support, which includes organizations like Milwaukee Diaper Mission, Fathers Making Progress, and of course other community advocates. So this is something that's super beneficial, such a game changer to all those folks, all those families, those individuals affected because of the government shutdown. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick short break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. If you are new to this digital platform, thank you so much for joining us. If this is your second, third, or fourth time, we welcome you back. We'll be right back with more Wisconsin Live Desk on the other side of the break on your Wednesday afternoon here at 12:39. I'm Donovan Long. We'll see you shortly.
Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Donovan Long joining you here at 12:42. We've been covering everything so far from what's happening in our community as it relates to a crime investigation Milwaukee police are following. Our Christina Van Zelst is tracking that information down for us. She'll share her report starting at 4 o'clock this afternoon. But we're going to kind of pivot a little bit and talk about sports. The Bucks. What better person to talk about that with than Dustin Godsey, the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer for the organization. Brother, it's really good to have you on with us again this afternoon. How are you? You know what? Let me turn up your microphone so we can make sure all those good folks out there can hear you. All righty. Did we have you now?
Got me now?
There we go. Loud and clear.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Your second time on our digital platform here. Let's talk Bucks now. Okay. So we know the Bulls are going to be playing, I believe, Saturday at 7 p.m. At Pfizer Forum. What can we look forward to with regard to that game, given all the momentum that we've seen from the guys thus far?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun here to start the season. It's Friday night, 7 o'clock. And this one's fun because it's our first of the NBA Cup night games for this season. So out there defending our NBA Cup title. So have the Bulls in town, always a kind of a special night and great energy when you get the Bulls in town, but a little extra juice for it with the Cup night.
100%. What do you think of the team so far? We've got some new guys on the roster, some new faces that fans are still familiarizing themselves with. What do you make of the team thus far?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch and to see, a team that the last few years, obviously a lot of veterans, a lot of names that people have known. But, to be sort of one of the older veteran teams and to come in this year with a lot of youth, a lot of energy to see, a guy like Ryan Rollins start to break through at only 23 years old. And, it's just a lot of fun. It's a much different kind of brand of basketball than we've seen the last few years. And it's been exciting to see from that standpoint. You factor in a Giannis buzzer beater and that sort of thing in there. It's been a really, really fun start to the season.
Yeah, I've seen all of those videos of Giannis kind of shushing the opponents when he was in Indianapolis playing the Pacers there. That game-winning buzzer was absolutely nuts. What is it like to have a guy like Giannis on our team and seeing the fans continuing to just rally for him, support him, and the other teammates?
Yeah, no, it's the best, and I think you really saw who Giannis is in that game. Obviously, we've got some history with the Pacers the last couple of years, and having a little fun with the crowd. But he really stepped up, and he had Miles Turner's back, and was really kind of showing him the support that he has within the team. And I think for us, and what we sort of said all summer long, is there was stories about Giannis and rumors and that sort of thing. I think for us, we've always said, like, Giannis loves it in Milwaukee. Milwaukee loves him. I think the big thing is you just can't take advantage of the fact that we have this generational superstar, this guy who is, just as great off the court as he's on the court, to really rally behind and celebrate, and somebody who, celebrates the city of Milwaukee the way we all do.
Speaking of that, of Miles Turner, he got the boos from all of those fans in Indy at the game. But then you saw Giannis obviously have his back and, kind of do it like a thumbs down gesture to those fans. What does that say about Giannis's character from where you sit?
Yeah, I mean, it just shows us what a leader we have with him, and somebody who, again, you go through changes in the roster, you have different people there, but what he's grown into in now his 13th season in the NBA of being, we all know what kind of guy he is on the court and what the talent level is there, but it's rare that you get to see some of those interactions and where he is as a teammate and a leader, because he's somebody who I know speaks a lot and talks a lot and has a lot to say in helping to develop the team, but usually that's behind closed doors with him. So to be able to see something sort of that public just goes to show where he kind of sees his role within this team and this organization.
No kidding. Okay, any special promotions out there for fans that they can look forward to? Should they attend the game on Friday night here at Pfizer Forum?
Yeah, Friday, is that Cup game, so we'll have a lot of celebration around that. On Sunday, we've got Kevin Durant and the New Look Rockets coming in as well. Sunday afternoon at 2:30, we've got a reversible winter beanie that we'll be giving away at that game. So definitely come out this weekend. We expect, big crowds for both games, and then we roll into Lakers coming to town next week along with the Hornets. So a busy couple weeks here.
No kidding. All right, Dustin, before I let you go, what is it like in kind of inside the organization to see the momentum? You guys are off to an incredible start on the season. What is it like kind of behind closed doors, and how's morale for you all just seeing the players dominating out there?
It's, it changes the energy in the office for sure, and how everybody's kind of feeling about things as you go through. It's you always start the season, 0-0 and with high expectations and high hopes, but until you start to see the team come together and what it's been, it takes a little pressure off and a little weight off your shoulders to be able to go out and now it's just looking at how we keep up with it and take advantage of everything that we can as we go through it here, and make sure that, from a marketing side, that everybody's seeing all these amazing moments and great things that are happening.
Man, that is so wonderful to hear. All right, brother, Dustin Godsey for us on the Wisconsin Live Desk here, the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer. Hey, folks, if you want to catch the next Bucks game, you'll see them play against the Bulls at home. Tip-off is at 7 p.m., and, hey, it is up from there. Dustin, thank you so much, brother, as always.
Appreciate it.
All righty, take care, my man. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick short break here, but we will return with more news, weather, and, of course, a little bit of sports out there here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Again, if this is your first time joining us, welcome. We are here from all afternoon, 12:30 to about 3:30, I believe. And then if you are a returning guest, thank you so much for coming back. Donovan Long here for you at the Wisconsin Live Desk. Your time is 12:48 on your Wednesday afternoon. We'll see you right back here on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to get you right over to the president, who is speaking right now in Miami, Florida at the American Business Forum, of course, speaking amidst the ongoing shutdown and a pretty great turnout in terms of election results for Democrats. Let's listen in to see what the president is talking about and what his address will entail thus far.
Office wages for the typical factory worker are up $1,300. Construction workers' pay is up $2,200, and miners are up nearly $5,000 this year alone. And that's good because it's not, such an extra cost to the company. It really isn't. Somebody would say, oh, what's going to cost more? The fact is that they're doing such business like they've never done. You're going to start seeing numbers coming out very soon that are going to blow your mind. Under Biden, We had the worst inflation in modern history. We had inflation that was so bad, costing the typical family about $33,000 over a period of time. Their policies send food prices up 23. They come in, you know, remember I first came in, I was in for 3 days, and one of the fake news members, they're all back there, that's a lot of press, fake news. They said, egg prices are through the roof. I was there for 3 days, and this maniac, this lunatic person, happened to be a woman. Sir, what are you going to do about egg prices? And they'd gone up like 4 or 5 times. I said, well, you just told me it has a problem. And people weren't buying Easter eggs. You believe it? I said, we're buying Easter eggs for the White House, for the egg hunt, the famous egg hunt. But within a couple of months, we got them down. We have a great Department of Agriculture headed by Brooke Rollins, and we did a great job, and we got them down to the level they originally were a long time ago. And we have that in just about everything. And if we don't have it, we get them down. Their policies sent food prices soaring 23%, the Biden policies. And it wasn't him. It was the people surrounding him around the desk. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. Biden. How the hell did that happen? Well, I know how it happened. A rigged election. That's how it happened. Think of the damage done. Although I must tell you, but this is a much more powerful term. I mean, this is a much better term. In one way, it's bad to see how bad people... You're going to see the same thing in New York, by the way. You watch what happens in New York. Terrible. But you're going to see that same thing. And I hope it doesn't happen, but you're going to see it. Gas prices are surging to $5 a gallon, and even higher, and mortgage rates skyrocketed by 152%. But under the Trump administration, all of that is changing. Prices are coming down very fast, and we're bringing them back to the beautiful part where you can have, and you can truly say, we're talking about the American dream again. You didn't used to hear that term. You heard it during my 4 years, and then it disappeared. Now you're hearing it again more than ever. Because we had the most successful economy in the history of our country during my first 4 years. We rebuilt the economy, cut the biggest tax cut in history. We had the biggest tax cut in history, the biggest regulation cut in history. That's why we had the great economy. And now the only difference is we're doing better this time. Actually, we're going to have a bigger, better, stronger economy than the first 4 years. And that was the most successful economy in history. Gasoline prices have plummeted to the lowest in 2 decades, and we're going to soon see $2 gasoline. Think of that, $2 a gallon. It was up to $4.50, $5. And you know, when you get gasoline and you get oil and gas down, it's so big, it's so massive, the importance of it, that everything else starts to follow. And that's what's happening. Grocery prices are way down, and Walmart just announced that the cost of their standard Thanksgiving meal, this is the greatest. They're greatest, they're wonderful. They come out every year with how much does the Thanksgiving meal cost compared to last year, right? And it always goes up, up, up. It's 40%, 30% more. Is 25% lower than 1 year ago. Isn't that great? That's a big deal, Rima. That's a big deal. I don't know if they care about that in Saudi Arabia, but here it means a lot. We got the princess here from Saudi Arabia. She's got a lot of cash. Serious cash, and she's a great person. So she doesn't care about the price of a turkey is down a little bit. You know, she doesn't have to worry about it. Since March, the price of eggs is down 85%. Energy prices are down, interest rates are down, despite the fact that we have a total nincompoop at the Federal Reserve. It was recommended by one of my real great people, who I'd never spoke to again. And the cost of the typical new mortgage is down by nearly $3,000 a year. Day by day, we're making America affordable again. It's going to be affordable again at a really record pace. And, you know, other people are going to take credit. All the mayors and all the governors, they're going to say what a great job. They didn't do a damn thing. Yet as we speak, the Democrats in Congress are trying to put all of this progress at risk and drag us back to the Biden policies of soaring prices, crushing energy costs, massive spending, open borders. Let the world come into our country from prisons and from mental institutions. Let them pour in. And rampant inflation. That's what Biden gave us, all of those things, with the reckless Democrat shutdown. Virtually every Democrat in Congress has voted to hold the American people hostage in an effort to extort hundreds of billions of dollars in new spending. They're demanding free health care for illegal aliens that just came into our country from prisons and from mental institutions, and drug dealers and drug addicts, and they want to give them $1.5 trillion in giveaways that would turbocharge rapid inflation again, as they did the first time. You remember that just a couple of years ago, 4 disastrous years we just had. They were the worst years. Meanwhile, the radical left Democrats are causing millions of Americans who depend on food stamps to go without benefits. They're forcing federal workers to go without paychecks, and they're stranding thousands of travelers at the airports. And you understand it, and they understand it. All because they want to return to the failed Biden policies that created, and also Obama policies. I watched him the other day up talking, well, Donald Trump is a mean person. I'm not a mean person. I just want to have a country that's great again. Is that okay? I'm not a mean person. He's a mean person. He's a divider. He's a divider. Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. And by the way, ask him how he's doing on his museum library. He's got hundreds of millions of dollars of cost overruns. It's come to a dead halt. He built it in not a particularly good location. He's not into real estate, you know. He doesn't know about location. He doesn't know about location. But he built it in a location that's not going to be too good. But the thing has come to a dead halt. It's way over budget. It's sort of like Gavin Newsom in California. He's got a train that was supposed to go from San Francisco to Los Angeles, which is a stupid idea because an airplane is faster. I don't care how fast it goes. And they had plenty of airplanes. San Francisco, inside San Francisco to inside right there, L.A. And what they did is they said, oh man, this has been going on for years. It's billions and billions of dollars over budget. So what they decided to do is cut it so that it doesn't go into San Francisco and into L.A. It goes way short of both. And then they cut it again and again and again. Pretty soon they're going to have like 2 miles of track. Billions and billions of dollars, totally incompetent. The biggest cost overrun proportionately that I've ever seen. Many, many, many times more. And it's no longer the same. It was supposed to go into the city. Now it's way short, many miles short of the city. So they're going to drop you off and you can walk the rest of the way. That train is going to haunt him. You watch, because he doesn't have what it takes. I tell you that. Slimy guy. He's a slimy one. Maybe that should be his nickname. Slimy Newsom, right? But he doesn't have it. But you look at that train, it's going to cost him Republican.
And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. You are listening to President Donald Trump speak right now live in Miami, Florida at the American Business Forum. He is speaking on the anniversary of his re-election to a second term. He's speaking to a forum of business leaders and global athletes about what he believes are his economic achievements. Of course, speaking in the midst of a government shutdown affecting this entire country and, of course, food share benefits as well. That's kind of the main focal point being affected. One of the main focal points being affected right now, independent of federal workers working without a paycheck. We also know he's speaking after Democrats really won big in this most recent election. We just got the results in overnight into this morning that are on our Fox Local mobile app and our FOX6Now.com website. Want to bring this a little closer to home for just a second. We'll get back to our president here shortly, but want to take you to an event that's happening as a result of the government shutdown. This is what you're seeing right here live on your screen. So this is pretty much the Fast Fund and Milwaukee Area Technical College partnering to host this emergency community resource event, that is in direct response to the ongoing federal government shutdown. We know so many folks in our community, so many of our viewers even, are without access to critical benefits like SNAP benefits, child care, medical assistance. And we know that there's so many people wanting to make a difference, so many groups wanting to make a difference. These are some of them right here. So folks right here are experiencing the help from dozens of community partners. They're getting support from the Milwaukee Diaper Mission, community advocates, and a group called Fathers Making Progress. All, of course, are banding together to make sure these folks don't go without meals, without Pampers, without food. And we know this is a season of giving, so what better way to give back than to host events such as this one? If you are watching right now, this is happening in real time. It will end at 2 p.m. This event is happening at MATC's downtown campus. The address for that, if you are just wondering, is 700 West State Street, the S building. This is taking place on the 2nd and 3rd floors. Again, this is happening as we speak. You're getting a live view from one of our photojournalists, Eddie Poser, who's kind of taking us through the area, showing you in real time what you'll find if you go to this event, this emergency community resource event that, of course, is happening in response to the shutdown stalemate here. This is a partnership between the FAST Fund and Milwaukee Area Technical College. You see several organizations with booths set up here, represented in numbers, hoping to help. You see the Milwaukee Diaper Mission right here, so folks can register and sign up to get diapers for their children. I mean, these are expensive items. And imagine if you have more than 2 kids, more than 3. If you have 1, it's still expensive, right? Let's not even act like it's not. You've got that coupled with food insecurity. You have that coupled with some federal workers in our communities not getting paid for the job that they're doing. Meanwhile, they're trying to make ends meet and perhaps buy presents for their children and their loved ones and their spouses. So all of this that you're seeing here is in an effort to help, to really support, and to bless other people, frankly, who are going without because of the government shutdown. So this is happening again at the Milwaukee Area Technical College's downtown campus. The address for that is 700 West State Street. That is the S building. If you go there, you'll find this community emergency resource event on the 2nd and 3rd floors. You see dozens of booths here ready to help anyone as quickly as possible. This is up and running until 2 p.m. this afternoon. It started at 11 o'clock, but this is especially for folks who are in need of SNAP benefits, child care, medical assistance, and everything else in between. So this is happening in real time. As I mentioned again, our photojournalist Eddie Poser there giving us a live view of folks who are benefiting from this phenomenal event and those who are putting it on with hopes of helping so many families and impacting so many lives as we speak. All right, folks, I want to take you back now to President Trump, who was speaking in Miami, Florida at what's called the American Business Forum. This is happening in real time. He is speaking about what he believes are his economic accomplishments thus far in his term. We know he is speaking on the anniversary of his reelection to a second term. Let's listen in for a few more minutes to hear what he is saying to a crowd of people here in Miami, Florida.
A choice between communism and common sense. Does that make sense to you? Common sense. It's common sense or communism. And you know, you take a look back 1,000 years, it hasn't worked. If it worked, we'd be using it, I guess, but it hasn't worked. Our opponents are offering an economic nightmare. We're delivering an economic miracle. We have delivered in 9 months. This is the biggest investment of funds in a country in history by many times. That's good. They want higher spending for government and illegal aliens. We want bigger paychecks for American workers and American families, and that's what we're delivering. You see that. They stand for crime and chaos and corruption. We stand for law and order and justice. Also strong borders. Boy, do we have strong borders. They put America last. We put America first. We put America first. And as long as I'm in the White House, the United States is not going communist in any way, shape, or form. We'll stop it. We're going to stop it. Stop this nonsense. You know, I said they were voting last night. You could have a communist or a thug. A communist, and they took the communist, you know. It's pretty amazing. We could have done a little better in terms of candidates. From day one of my administration, I've been fighting every single day to turn around the catastrophe we inherited to make America the best place on the planet Earth to do business. And that's what it is. Right now, we're the #1 place. I'm getting plants approved in 2 weeks. It used to take 20 years before they got rejected. You'd have young people start off. Their whole business was getting a certain plant accepted. 22 years later, they're ready to retire, and they haven't gotten it. And then they go to a vote, and they get rejected after 22. They wasted a whole life looking for an acceptance. We do it in 2 weeks. We make sure it's good. We make sure it's great and proper, environmentally sound. It takes 2 weeks. My goal is to have the best tax rates, the lowest energy cost, the lowest regulatory burden, the most advanced technology, and the fairest trade deals anywhere in the world. You know, we're leading China. We're leading everybody by a lot in AI. And this was my idea, so I'm very proud of it. I said, build your own electric. People would come. We need more electric grid, sir. The electric grid's 200 years old. We need more electric grid. It's old. The electricity that the AI plants need alone is double the entire electricity that we have in the country right now. Can you believe it? So I had this idea. I said, we can't fix the old grid that much. We'll fix it up. We'll keep it going. A little Band-Aid here, a little Band-Aid there. It's old. And I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to let these geniuses build their own electric generation. So they are building their own electric.
Okay, folks, you're listening to our president speak in Miami, Florida at the American Business Forum right now, touting his economic achievements. I want to stick with politics, but take you a little bit further away from Miami to New Jersey, where Mikey Sherrill has been elected to become the next governor of that state. Let's listen into her speech now that she's giving following that big win in that state.
People I hear from want great schools. They see that, as do I, as the opportunity their kids need to succeed. They want good job opportunities to get ahead, want to be able to afford a home, to start to build generational wealth. These are key issues. And so the reason I was so focused on affordability issues is because my community is so focused on affordability issues and how they're going to be successful. And then taking on some of what we see coming from Washington, because it's driving up prices everywhere, putting people out of business, stopping the economic growth of our economy. So when I say I have a mandate, that's what I have a mandate to do, is really focus in on working families.
On the mandate, other than the electrical rates, freezing them on day one, what specific promise have you made that is reflects your mandate? I mean,
Expanding the first-time home buyers credit so people can get their foot in the door, taking on landlords who are colluding to drive up rental prices, taking on PBMs. Those are the middlemen in drug pricing to drive down drug costs. Addressing the fact that the state health benefits plan is in a death spiral. That's not only raising costs on medical care, but also driving up property taxes. Schools, looking at how the bloated administration system in the schools, which is driving up property taxes as well. But we're still not getting the results in third grade reading that we want to see. So addressing third grade reading, phonics-based education for our teachers, expanding that program, high-intensity tutoring because we still have learning loss problems. These are all the things that we've worked with communities on throughout the last year, and what we're hearing from communities that they want to see front and center in the agenda.
During your transition, talk about Latinos. You mentioned that they care about education, but they also care about family. And families right now are being divided and deported by the current administration in Washington. What is your plan to either fight or stop this?
So I'm committed to making sure people here feel safe, getting to school safely, getting to church safely, going to report crime safely. And that is what I'm going to do as governor, also taking on those people who are not following the law and the Constitution. We're hearing reports of ICE agents picking up people who are here legally, not even allowing them to show any papers that they are here legally, people who are citizens here. We're also hearing from police officers that there are agents on the street dressed like they are going to Afghanistan. And so making sure that any agents, law enforcement here on the streets is easily identifiable as such. And at the same time, I don't want to discount our Latino community is our most entrepreneurial community. So I'm hearing a lot about red tape and permitting issues for businesses, a lot about concerns of affordability here in our state as well. So these are, this is a community that wants to see both safety, as you've brought up, for their families, for their community, but also good opportunity here with jobs and affordability.
Brad, I think you had a question, Brad. Brad.
What about those people that haven't had a chance to legalize themselves? For example, a couple of weeks ago, a bodega owner, a longtime resident of New Jersey, was, apprehended by ICE. Is there any way to help those people under your government?
There is certainly a way to ensure people have proper representation and that we work hard with our federal delegation to get better processes in place. So TPS recipients, make sure we address TPS. I've been a big supporter of that for Haitians and extending that, for example, ensuring people have a pathway to citizenship. I've been a big fan of comprehensive immigration reform, making sure people have that. A lot of this is something that we've come very close to time and again. And in the most recent case, Trump, I think, undermined it because he thought it was better for his campaign not to effectively address that.
Brad had a question.
So go ahead. Just going off of this theme, so will you or will you not continue to be self-elected?
So I am focused on keeping people safe here, and I've lined that out exactly how that'll operate. But the Immigrant Trust Directive has a lot of those aspects in it, which I've been supportive of.
Elect a lot. As you know, a lot of people seem to want your own job. I guess they think it's easy. So.
Well, that nobody's. They won't open Congress up because the Speaker doesn't, as well as our legislature here, to as smoothly as possible run the special election to get a new person in that seat. I likely won't be getting involved. There are some great candidates in there, so.
Who are the candidates?
I know Malinowski announced. Has anyone? Yes. There's another woman whose resume looks really impressive from the Obama administration. I think those are the two that have actually announced. I don't know, Sean, if you remember any more.
May I ask you a quick question? You talk about wanting to bring down property taxes with school consolidation, district consolidation. How would that work? Would that be mandated? Would it be like, incentives? How would that work?
Well, at its start, I think we're going to give some resources from the state to help people move towards that, especially at the administration level and especially with towns that aren't even running a full K through 12 school system, because a lot of these administrations are, they're costly. But it's not just the people, it's the buildings that they're housed in, which are old buildings. We know we have some of the oldest school structures in the nation. And so it's really just costly to keep them up. And that's not where citizens in New Jersey want to spend their money. They want to spend it on kids and education, great teachers and educators. And then we do need to update a lot of our school buildings. A couple of years ago, the stairs in Montclair High School fell and shut down classes for half a day for quite some time. We know ceiling in Patterson in an elementary school fell. So.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. If you are just now joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, you're listening to Mikey Sherrill speaking after she was just elected last night to become the next governor of New Jersey. She did beat the President Trump-endorsed Republican candidate Jack Ciattarelli by about 13% of the vote. This is a big win for her and her team. She is a state representative, but she secured a very decisive victory yesterday. This is a live view of her holding a news conference with media outlets there. This is a big win for her and her party, her Democratic Party. And so we are hearing from her. post results about what her plans are and how she is expecting to create a better economy and a better state for the great folks who live in New Jersey.
Stabilize and modernize it. That right now we see wild swings year over year. So you're coming up to this, as school's starting, and suddenly you get your numbers and you start laying off massive amounts. Teachers are cutting sports programs. So that's where I would start modernizing. It's kind of a one-size-fits-all for students with disabilities, where we know town by town it's quite different, the numbers. So those are the kind of things I'd start with, and then take a look overall at how well we are educating students, because right now we're not doing a good enough job. Like I said, third grade reading that's a key metric, as Dr. Caldwell would say, from birth to third grade you learn to read, and from third grade on you read to learn. It's a key inflection point, and we're not doing good enough to make sure that our students are ready to go on from third grade with great reading skills.
Okay, last question.
Can you touch on what you discussed with Governor Murphy, and have you met with legislative leaders yet, or is that in the coming days?
So I spoke to Governor Murphy about really staffing up, and his advice was, just get really great people into each position. That's who will, I think, have the biggest impact on the people of New Jersey. And so we talked a little bit about that, his own transition, things he thought he did well, and things he said, I might do differently. And then we also I'm sorry, in the second part of your question.
Have you met with, or
The legislative, yeah, sorry. I'm operating on very little sleep here. But the legislative leaders, I saw the speaker last night, but we'll continue to have conversations, and we have some meetings set up in the coming days with the majority and minority leaders.
Okay, thank you. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much.
Excuse me, had my microphone muted. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick short break. You just heard from Mikey Sherrill. Okay, let's bring down that audio. Not sure what happened there, but you just heard from Mikey Sherrill. You're looking at a live view at President Trump speaking in Miami, of course, on the heels of those Democratic winners of the elections we had last night. One of them you just heard from, Mikey Sherrill, who just was elected the governor of New Jersey over a Trump-backed Republican candidate, Jack Ciattarelli. It was a very consequential vote for that state. We're going to take a quick short break and bring you back to this news conference that President Trump is holding in Miami. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Donovan Long here. Your time is 1:19. We'll be right back. Thanks so much.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Donovan Long here on the Wisconsin Live Desk here on your Wednesday afternoon. Time now is 1:21. You know, this season of giving we're in is my favorite part of the holiday season. It's because we, not only as individuals, get to give back to so many folks who are in need, but we as a station, my employer, and my colleagues get to pitch in and make sure that we are also making a difference for our beautiful viewers out there who may need a little bit help during this government shutdown and during this season of giving. So if you feel called to donate, you can join us for our 41st, yes, our 41st annual FOX6 Coats for Kids Drive. It's already kicked off in full swing. So the donation drive is running right now through December 7th, meaning there's still time to donate. So we need all sizes of coats, children's sizes for the younger folks, the younger kids, and adult sizes for the teenagers and the young adults and older children. We are accepting new and gently used winter coats. We are all accepting gently used and loved hats, gloves, scarves, mittens, sweatshirts are not included with these donations. We are only sticking to winter coats. So if you have sweatshirts, hoodies, spring jackets, leave those at home or perhaps use them to donate to another cause. But we are definitely eyeing and in need of all winter jackets because we know how cold and snowy it gets in our wonderful state of Wisconsin, but especially in our city of Milwaukee and in southeastern Wisconsin. So we are in need of all sizes, children's sizes, younger kids sizes, adult sizes, and teenagers, teenage sizes, I should say, more appropriately. Again, this is a graphic we have created here at the station to honor our 41st annual FOX6 Coats for Kids Drive. Again, if you feel called to donate, all you got to do is just stop by a couple of drop-off locations that you can find on our website, fox6now.com, or at our Fox Local mobile app. If you do not have any coats to donate, no sweat. That is okay. All you got to do is scan that QR code here on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and you can make a monetary donation. There is no donation that is too small or too little. Every little bit counts. Every little bit makes a difference, and if you can do so without, compromising your own financial responsibilities, please donate. Give back to the kids, the families, moms and dads who really need your help this holiday season. After all, as I mentioned, it is the season of giving. We are in, so let's make a difference together. In the meantime, I want to give you an update on this. This is our first FOX6 documentary. It's called The Gales of November. It premieres Friday at 7 p.m. The title of it in its entirety, The Gales of November, the final voyage of the Edmund Fitzgerald. We are marking 50 years, 5 decades since that ship sank in 1975. We know that this is something that we are going to continue to follow. We are sort of chronicling this journey of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Friday at 7 p.m. You can find it on our YouTube page, our Fox Local mobile app, and on fox6now.com. We do know that there's so many questions surrounding this ship. It's kind of got a haunting element to it, right? It kind of vanished without a trace, no survivors. So we are going to dive deep into that. We are going to explore all of that. We have some of our great producers and photographers, Andrew Severson, Luke Shaheen, who really took a deep dive into the history of this Edmund Fitzgerald and erected and created and produced this wonderful documentary. So if you love history and want to kind of maybe answer some of your own lingering questions, we invite you to join us Friday at 7 p.m. on fox6now.com, our Fox Local mobile app, and on our FOX6 YouTube page for The Gales of November, the final voyage of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Again, folks, you can find all of this information right now on our website, fox6now.com. Okay, want to get you back to Miami, Florida, where our president is speaking to the American Biz Forum. It's happening in real time. He's addressing several people there. We know he is speaking on the anniversary of his reelection to his second term, kind of touting what he says are his economic achievements. Let's listen into the president as he continues addressing this crowd in Miami, Florida.
And his son is with him, Paul. Paul's a very good golfer, so is Brett. Thank you, Brett. He's doing an interview with me right after the... Oh, is that Paul? Oh, stand up, Paul. Paul, did we take your father easily in golf? Tell me, huh? That was easy, right? Get ready. We'll do it again. Thank you very much, Paul. You look great. Also, I want to thank your two great senators, Ashley Moody and Rick Scott. And, you know, I just left them. Believe it or not, I had a meeting with all the senators this morning. I gave them my vision because, frankly, it's always nice to have good vision. And they are two terrific senators, and they're in Washington working hard, and they were going to come. And I said, do me a favor, stay back and work on the things you're working on. They're working on really things. And Ashley is in the election. Rick just won his election. They're two great senators that you have right here in Florida. So that's really good. And they're working to make America great again. So I said, stay back in Washington. Together with many of the people here today, we've achieved more in 9 months than most administrations achieve in 8 years. It's true. We've really done a lot. We inherited the worst border in history, and within a matter of weeks, we turned it into the strongest border anywhere in the world, and they have some pretty strong borders, but we have literally no people coming through. They do come in. They come in legally. You know, we want people to come in. We want to make it real easy for them, actually, but they come in legally. So you have to know that. We just don't want criminals coming in. We don't want people from prisons. We don't want prisons dumped into our country like Venezuela did. They emptied their prisons into our country.
Okay, folks, Donovan Long here, coming to you live from the Wisconsin Live Desk here at 128. You're still listening to President Trump address the American Business Forum in Miami, speaking to a group of business leaders and global athletes about what he believes are his greatest economic achievements. In the meantime, I'm going to switch gears and hand things over to my colleague, Haley Spittler, who needs no introduction to the Wisconsin Live Desk. You are in good hands, in capable hands. Thank you so much for joining us here on our digital platform. I'll see you next Wednesday, but for now, we'll let Haley take over the reins from here. Thanks so much for joining us, and welcome back if this is your time returning to us. Thanks so much.
Some are so dangerous, we don't want to bring them out. We'll just make sure they never come back in. But this is what they were putting in our country, and it's a disgrace. On day one, I signed an executive order to designate the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. We had a big, strong, positive number come out just recently. The drugs coming into our country are way down. I'll tell you where they're really way down is drugs coming in through water. People are saying, no thanks. I don't think I want to ride in that boat today, please. We want you to take these drugs into the United States. You know what? I think I'll take a pass, sir. The drugs coming in by border are not much. Every boat that we hit kills, think of this, if it gets through, kills 25,000 Americans plus, but 25,000 Americans. Every time we hit a boat, we save 25,000 lives. Got to look at it that way. And we're arresting and removing thousands and thousands of dangerous gang members, MS-13, Tren de Aragua, all these gang members are being thrown the hell out of our country. And if you look at Washington, D.C., it's now a safe community. We're in Memphis now, and within 2 weeks, all of a sudden, it's like a safe community. It's really made unbelievable progress. And we're blowing up cartel terrorists. We're blowing them up linked to the Maduro regime in Venezuela and others. Look, it's not just Venezuela. But a lot of things are coming in. Look, Venezuela emptied their prisons into our country. Nobody wants that. They emptied their prisons into our country. We're liberating our cities from the scourge of violent crime, making our country safe and beautiful again. We're starting in our capital, Washington, D.C., which right now you can walk through the middle of Washington. You have no problem. 6 months ago, that wasn't the case. 1 year ago, it was a disaster. But law enforcement, our military has done an incredible job, actually. It's a safe, very, very safe city again. And it's been beautified. We're putting new medians in. We're covering the roads with nice, clean, beautiful asphalt. We're redoing the grass in the parks. It's really becoming beautiful again, and it's safe. We don't get calls that, think of it, call to the parents, your son, sir, has been killed. He came to see the Lincoln Memorial, and he's dead. No, that's not happening anymore. We run it tough. We run it very tough. Sometimes you have to be a little tough to get rid of. These are thugs. These are bad people. We're bringing them the hell out of our country where they came from. We renamed the Department of Defense to the Department of War. And well, if you think about it, after the Second World War, they changed it to defense, right? So we won the First World War. We won the Second World War. We won everything in between and everything before. Never lost a war. We still don't lose wars. Sometimes we don't fight to win. You know, we'll stay around the country for 15 years, just bomb the hell out of everybody, make everybody miserable. Nobody knows why we're there, you know, the wars that never end. But we made it clear that the days of political correctness in our military, they're over. We don't want to get into wars. I rebuilt the military. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We make the best equipment, the best missiles, the best rockets, the best everything. We redid our nuclear. We're the #1 nuclear power, which I hate to admit because it's so horrible. It's such a horrible situation if it ever has to be used. Russia's second. China's a distant third, but they'll catch us within 4 or 5 years. They want to catch us, and they'll be able to catch us. And we're maybe working on a plan to denuclearize the three of us, so we'll see if that works. But we have the strongest military anywhere in the world by far. We're investing $1 trillion in the United States Armed Forces this year. It's the biggest amount we've ever invested, and the spirit of service members is soaring like never before. We used to have recruiting shortages a year ago. You remember, you couldn't get people to join our military all around the world. You couldn't get them to rejoin. You just couldn't, no matter what you do. That we were way short. Now you can't get into our military. The waiting list, you have waiting lists to get into our military because we have spirit in our country. And all around the world, America is making peace, and we're really making peace through strength because they know they're not going to mess around with us. Nobody's going to mess around with us. You saw what happened. We made a deal with China last week, and we made a deal with Japan last week. We made a deal with Malaysia. They helped us so much. All great economic deals, all great. Great for everybody. In 8 months, I ended 8 wars, including Kosovo and Serbia, the Congo and Rwanda. That was going on for a long time. Pakistan and India. You know, I was in the midst of a trade deal with both of them. And then I read on the front page of a certain newspaper, I said, I don't know, mention the newspaper because it's usually fake news, but I heard they're going to war. 7 planes were shot down. An 8th was really badly wounded, but 8 planes were shot down essentially. And I said, this is war. And they were going at it. And they're 2 nuclear nations. I said, I'm not going to make any trade deals with you guys unless you agree to peace. No way, this has nothing to do. I said, it has everything to do. Your nuclear powers. I'm not trading with you. We're not making any deals with you if you're at war with each other. A day later, I get a call. We made peace. They stopped. I said, thank you, let's trade. Isn't that great? Tariffs did that. You know what? Tariffs. Without tariffs, that would have never happened. Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, and Cambodia and Thailand. All of them were in war, starting war. Some of the wars were 32 years old. One was 38 years old. Amazing. They tried to, President Putin, I spoke to him 2 weeks ago, and he said, on the one, he said, we've been trying to settle that war for 10 years. We weren't able to do it. You got to settle. I got some of these things settled in an hour. No help from the United Nations at all. The only thing I got from them was a blank teleprompter. Remember I went up there, Princess? Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the United States of America, President Donald J. Trump, I'm looking at the teleprompters, and I have all my friends, including your family, sitting out there, 158 leaders, some in beautiful silk white robes, others in bad shirts, bad ties, and some in beautiful shirts and ties. But they're all the leaders, 158 leaders. And they're saying, President, and I'm walking up to the President Donald J. Trump, and I'm looking at the teleprompter, stone cold blank. They did it on purpose. And I think I gave my best speech. That's what I was told. But it still wasn't a great feeling. I'm walking up very slowly. I'm 20 feet. I'm trying to walk slowly because I see it's not working. They're dead. They did it on purpose. But it worked out okay. Not great people. Most important of all, for 4 weeks ago, and this is very important, we brokered the historic peace deal that ended the war in Gaza. And it's a serious end, too. I read a lot of people, it's very tenuous. Jared and Steve, I don't think it's tenuous to you. I hope it isn't, because otherwise I'll have to cross it off. I'll have to say only ended 7. But that was a tough one, right? That was a tough one. But there's nothing tenuous about it. It's a serious end. Gaza has been a disaster for so many years, and I think it's an end. I think you're going to see some tremendous things happening. We just had a meeting just before I got up, and some great things are happening. And with Israel and peace in the Middle East, it's amazing, actually, what they've done. And what you two guys have done have been incredible. On day 1 of my administration, I signed an executive order to slash federal funding for any school that pushes critical race theory or transgender insanity on our youth. And we completely banned.
I was muted, you guys. I swear I unmuted myself and I did it. I was going to say, if you guys are just joining us, we are here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We were listening in there as President Trump is speaking out of Miami. It's actually the 1-year anniversary of when he was reelected as president to the second term. He's speaking there to students, kind of touting his economic agenda. It does come a day after some pretty big elections throughout the country, which our very own Jason Calvi is covering today on how it impacts us here in Wisconsin. And he'll be joining us in just a little bit here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, which welcome in. Thanks so much for joining me here at 1:30. I'll be with you until 2:30. And then our very own Kim Murphy will take you all the way to 3:30 as we round out your Wednesday afternoon of Wisconsin Live Desk coverage halfway through the week. But hey, we are the Wisconsin Live Desk, so I actually want to take us out to an event happening live right now in Milwaukee. This is at MIAD, of course, the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design. We're actually hearing some presentations from students who have designed adaptive clothes for those who are in wheelchairs, which is so cool. I mean, you think about the challenges it might be to be able to find clothes that work for you if you are a wheelchair user, and they have designed for 2 people specifically to what they would like and their favorite trends and colors. And so we're going to listen in here on the Wisconsin Live Desk for a little bit. Looks like we might not have audio just yet. I'm going to try one thing to see if we can get that here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. So let me pull this up over here and see if we can get the audio this way. There we go.
And realize all the possibilities. When we think fashion, we might think runway exclusively, which I love. But the reality is we're all not on the runway, right? Like, we have our day-to-day tasks that we need to achieve. And so this is a really great portfolio boost for them, and just on their journey of who do they want to design for when they graduate. So they have another year to think about this, but because again, these are juniors. So we have 2 groups, and so I'm going to pass it over to our first group to share what they've done the past 6 weeks here.
Alrighty. Okay. So my name is Quincy. I use they, them pronouns. This is Kira, she, her. Sorry, it's still not on. Okay. So we have Quincy, they, them. That's me. And this is Kira, she, her. And this is Brad. This is our client. So when we did our client survey with Brad, we asked him about his needs. This is so that we were able to make garments that would fit his needs and preferences for what he wants to wear. That includes like fabric, the fit of the garment, any closures like magnets or Velcro, buttons, things like that. So some of the things that we decided on as a group and with Brad's input is a business casual style focusing on comfort that can be worn at the home or during business meetings because Brad is a board member. So both comfortable for work and home, lightweight and breathable, that is moisture wicking as well, that won't shift too much, that won't ride up, nice and soft. Magnetic closures, longer in the front, shorter in the back for the shirt to cover all the places that need to be covered, and then shorter in the front, longer the pants, so kind of that opposite, so that everything stays in place while staying seated. And then also for pockets oriented on the front of the thighs.
I know it's a little bit quiet there, you guys. We're listening to two students kind of explain the different needs and preferences of Brad, who is the wheelchair user that's in front next to them as well, because that's who they designed their adaptive clothing for. So we're going to keep listening in, see if we can see any of those designs, because this is so cool what they've done.
So this is our mood board. We wanted to stick with that same business casual, comfy yet professional look. And here we kind of stuck with the same blue and neutrals color palette for the jeans, or the pants in particular. We stuck with a khaki color. It was a cotton twill woven. And then for the shirt, it was a nice polyester blend. Just very light and moisture wicking, and we wanted to make sure that it was comfortable and soft on the skin and very comfortable to wear.
Alrighty, so I worked on the shirt. So we decided on a very simple polo shirt design, specifically with that shorter in the back, longer in the front silhouette, as well as having the magnetic closure in the front. So the buttons are purely decorative, so they wouldn't be functional buttons, but they do have magnets underneath them. So there's two ways for Brad to wear it. So right now you can see his one of the buttons fastened. If he decided he wanted to go for a more sophisticated high collar, that like fully buttoned look, you can use that second magnet as well. So completely modular for Brad and his uses. So I made sure to write that if I decided to do long sleeve, we could do a magnetic cuff, similar to a lot of button-down shirts have cuffs buttons. So if we wanted to do that, we could do that as well. But we ended up with this design.
And so for the pants, we had more of a slightly...
All right, if you guys are just joining us, we've been listening in here at MyAd as these fashion students are kind of unveiling some of the adaptive clothing that they have been working on this semester for different wheelchair users that they know, like Brad, who we see right there. They were just talking about the shirt that he's wearing. They wanted to make sure it was still comfortable, yet professional, and they were saying that the buttons, they're actually just for looks because they're actually magnets, making it much easier for him and his kind of limited range of motion that he can be able to, put his shirt on himself. And they're talking about the different pants designs right now and how they were able to make those something that he could use as well. It looks like they have some magnetic pockets and belt loops that are very easy to use. So cool what they've done, and such a need and a reminder to, everybody has different needs, and we need to step up and make sure that they can find clothes that work for them as well. So we're going to keep our eye on this feed here on the Wisconsin Live Desk and see if we can find a couple of other moments to bring to you here throughout the next hour. I know it's a little bit quieter than normal, so I just want to make sure that we all were on the same page of what a cool thing that they were doing there. Yeah, we'll keep our eye on that feed and potentially come back to it. But for now, we are just going to take a very quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. When we got back, we're monitoring a couple of different things on the feeds, from an announcement that has to do with the Mitchell International Airport here in Milwaukee, to this press conference coming out of Chicago that has to deal with ICE arrests. So there's a lot that we can get to here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Make sure and stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. It is Wednesday, just a little bit after 1:45, so we still got plenty of time together, you and I actually want to get us out to Mitchell International Airport here in Milwaukee, where it does appear to be yet another windy day, which, speaking of which, we now have some new weather things that we could potentially pull up, Delaney, to show the wind, but I don't remember the name of the fancy tool. Do you remember it? Carrie taught it to us.
He taught it to us, and I can't remember it.
Yeah, it was like nope, you know what?
Anemometer?
That might be it. All I know is I sound like Finding Nemo right now, saying anemone. That's what I sound like right now. So I'm gonna stop even attempting. But there is actually some big news coming out of Mitchell International Airport. If you like to fly one particular budget airline from here, which is Spirit Airlines, they have announced just as of today that they will be stopping service here to and from Milwaukee. So if you used to catch a flight in those, big yellow planes from here, that will be stopping effective January 13th of 2026. So really, in just 2 months, not a ton of notice there. And it's one of 4 different airports that they are discontinuing service to. Of course, Milwaukee here, then there's also Phoenix, Rochester in New York, and St. Louis. And then they're also going to be discontinuing seasonal service out of Columbia. That will also be happening in January. So kind of, we got a plane taken off right there. Kind of disappointing news if you're somebody who usually likes to fly Spirit. Of course, they will continue their service at O'Hare. So if you're willing to kind of hop on the highway for a little bit, you could drive to Chicago and still take Spirit Airlines. But no longer going to be able to do that here in Milwaukee. We did reach out to them for a statement, which they did send over, so I'm going to pull that up here. And they told us, quote, "As part of our efforts to better position the airline for the future, we have adjusted our 2026 schedule to better align with our smaller operating fleet and focus on our strongest performing markets. This includes the difficult decision to discontinue service at Milwaukee, Phoenix, Rochester, and St. Louis effective January 8th, 2026, and discontinue seasonal service out of Columbia effective January 13th, 2026. We apologize to our guests for any inconvenience, and we'll reach out to those with affected travel plans to notify them of their options, including a refund. Thank you to our partners and guests in these communities for their support over the years." So if you were listening right then to the announcement thinking, I've already booked a flight with Spirit that was supposed to fly in and out of Milwaukee in February, they will be reaching out to you with your options. And again, it will include the option to just get your money back in the form of a refund. So kind of some disappointing news. If you like those cheaper flights, if you only need a carry-on, is usually when I would go for, well, not even a carry-on, it's like a backpack. Delaney, have you ever flown Spirit?
I have not.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I have flown Spirit a few times. I think especially when I was, a college student who was really trying to cut costs where I could, Spirit was always a great option. I think it works really well for like weekend trips where you don't need a big suitcase, where you only just need a small carry-on. That's when I like to hop on a Spirit Airlines flight. So got that one right there. Delaney is laughing in the control room, so I'm sure something good just happened. I'm going to be a nice friend and not pull up her camera. But I do actually want to see if we can go back out to this presentation at MIAD, because I think it is so cool. They're talking about how they made adaptive and accessible clothing as part of a project, some of the fashion students, for those who are in wheelchairs. They designed specifically some shirts and pants for Brad, who we see here on our screen. I think we might be able to hear a little bit better as these students explain the different choices that they made. So we're going to pull that up and see what we can hear.
See just the straight style lines that continue even over the pockets to really blend them into the pants and make sure everything looked really clean cut and professional.
Alrighty, and then here's some pictures of our wonderful model Brad. And that's all we have for you guys. Thank you for listening. I do want to turn the mic over to Brad a little bit if you want to speak on the experience and what maybe your favorite part of the garments are, or like if you have a favorite part of the outfit in general.
Not really.
No?
You're all welcome to stop by afterwards and take a look. When you're sitting in a chair all day long, having the baggier clothes is fantastic. Serena, my caregiver, can attest to the fact that getting clothes on, it's a lot easier with baggier clothes, as well as the magnetic closures, as opposed to a fly. Also, when you're using urinals during the day, it's a lot easier than having magnets than a fly. Really, one of the primary benefits is the thigh pockets. I encourage you to take a look at those. I've got my telephone in there right now. Typically, if I'm out with friends or people and the bill comes, if to ask someone to get your wallet out of the side of your chair, usually they say, "Oh no, I'll get the bill," which is a benefit. But you know, it's hard to take care of things yourself. Now, you keep your wallet, your phone, everything right at hand. So I reach in and grab whatever I need, keys when I get home, anything. So it's one of the primary benefits. The baggier pants, as well as the cut of them. I believe there's, and most of the adaptive clothes, no pockets in the back. There's no need for the extra fabric sitting behind you all day. Really, that's about it. The extra length, the cut of it, because you need, you don't need as much material in the back, but you really don't need it in front. So you have an adaptive cut where they fit you, are suited to sitting, and it's really important to, when you're in them all day long in a chair, that it's an appropriate fit.
Perfect, thank you.
We can. Right. It looks like we caught kind of the end of that presentation as we learned about some of the clothing made there by those fashion students. I know that there were a couple of students who did the project. So again, we're going to keep our eye on that feed. Perhaps we can catch some more of the students presenting for who they designed for. I think that's what's so cool about the project, is that they made them for specific people to make sure that they met the needs of those they were designing for. Not just the needs as far as accessibility and range of motion, but what do you like to wear? I mean, do you like to be more dressed up? Do you like to be more comfortable? Do you have a favorite color? They really made it just personalized for those who would be wearing the clothes, and how cool that he was wearing them today. So clearly he likes them and it was a success. So we'll keep our eye again on that feed, see if we can maybe see some of the clothes close up or catch another one of the presentations. Lots to see as far as that one. I am just going to quickly dip into this feed. I know I talked about it a little bit before we went to break. This is out of Chicago. Again, this is a press conference with area Democrats and teachers of a local daycare and preschool. They said this morning some ICE officers followed a teacher, this is according to them, at that daycare and detained her in front of children. So they are speaking about that experience, and we'll listen in here just a little bit as, of course, Operation Midway Blitz continues in Chicago.
Posing as federal agents. What we are doing with our Northwest Side Rapid Response Network is we are proactively patrolling areas in which we feel there is increased activity. You heard Commissioner Degnan talk about our school patrols. That is something that we are expanding. We are also looking to provide mutual aid support. As we see these snap cuts hit our neighborhoods, our neighbors are afraid to access resources. And so our network is working with Organized Communities Against Deportation, Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights, Arise Chicago, the Resurrection Project, a lot of nonprofit organizations that have been doing this work for decades to provide the support that our residents need. I'm calling on our residents to be a part of the work, to please get involved in your local rapid response network, to please be a part of our school patrols, to participate in any event that you feel could be vulnerable for our communities. And if you would like to get involved, please feel free to reach out to my office, reach out to the representatives here. We would love to have you join us as we continue to document all of these incidents and protect our neighbors. Thank you. Next up, I'd like to invite Alderman Matt Martin.
Thank you, Commissioner, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm Alderman Matt Martin. I have the privilege of representing the 47th Ward, where Rayito del Sol is located. Like many parents across the city, I start off most of my mornings dropping my kids off at our local school. Some people think of doing school drop-offs as being a mundane activity, a chore, but that's not the case for me. Because I know what our schools provide, I know what they do for our students day in and day out, and I know how much excitement that provides my kids when we're walking to school every day, because they know what awaits them. It's not just learning their ABCs or learning math, it is learning how to be a kind and decent person. I think it bears emphasizing that our schools are our most precious spaces. They nurture and educate our most important, but also our most vulnerable community members. And they are places where everyone should feel safe and secure without exception, period. But this morning, as I responded to the school after being notified that ICE was there, I saw what happens when that feeling of safety is shattered. I saw how tirelessly parents and educators have worked over the years to create this sense of safety and security at Rayito del Sol, and how in a matter of seconds that can come undone. With regard to the educator here, I was heartened to see in the videos how many of her fellow educators came to her aid physically, telling these ICE agents, you can't be here. This is a school. There are children here. She has papers. But they ignored that. They ignored all of those pleas with, as Congresswoman Ramirez mentioned, at least one ICE agent going room to room, an armed ICE agent looking for adults, looking for people to question. And it's also important to emphasize that violent takings like this have been happening across our city for months. This is not new. And I speak for most every Chicagoan when I say we've had enough of these horrific actions. ICE's actions are not normal, and we're tired of saying that day in and day out. ICE's actions are causing chaos and fear and trauma, and we shouldn't have to keep saying that day in and day out.
All right, we've been listening in here out of Chicago as we hear a press conference from some Chicago Democrats, as well as some daycare workers who say that one of their teachers was detained by ICE officers earlier this morning. Again, this continues to be a part of the Trump administration's Operation Midway Blitz, which started in Chicago back in September, where they have sent in a lot of different immigration officers and have been working to get some arrests made in that area, and has definitely caused a lot of controversy. We've covered some of the protests here on Wisconsin Live Desk, and we've seen some of the leaders in Chicago try and fight back with different executive orders and putting in different curfews and things like that. So certainly a big issue in Chicago that we will continue to try and cover, and of course bring you both sides when we're able to here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We are going to take a quick break. As I mentioned, a big election night yesterday throughout the country, and our very own Jason Calvi is getting ready in the newsroom. Oh, we missed it. Jason, I need you to do that again with your papers. Yep. See, he's getting ready there. He's going to tell us all about the different races and what it means here for Wisconsinites. So make sure and stay with us. We'll get to Jason in 2 minutes. Thanks.
The Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk this Wednesday afternoon, just after 2 o'clock now. So I've got about 25 minutes left with you, and then of course Kim Murphy will join at 2:30 and get you to 3:30. But what Kim Murphy does not have for you, that I have for you, is of course our political reporter, Jason Calvi. He's out in the newsroom. You know you're working hard on a story because we saw the papers, we saw the highlighter, and you're covering elections for us today.
And the sleeves are rolled up.
The sleeves are rolled up.
He's
hard at work over there.
Yeah, hard work. Hard at work.
Okay, so we saw a lot of elections throughout really the country, not necessarily here in Wisconsin that had a lot of eyes on it, but there's a lot to get to. I mean, where do you want to start? We have...
Well, I think we could start with all of the elections that took place in Wisconsin last night. So let's go through the whole list of Wisconsin elections last night.
Did it. Done. You crushed that, Jason. Jason, I would laugh harder, but you did use that joke in a editorial meeting last week.
I did workshop that one in an editorial meeting many weeks ago, but yeah, we did not have any. So if you didn't see the visual there was absolutely 0 elections in Wisconsin. Our next one, Haley, is going to be in February. We're going to have some primaries next February. Then we have the Supreme Court race. The general election for Supreme Court will be in April of 2026. So we still have several more months to go until we get to vote again here in Battleground, Wisconsin.
Yeah, but you were saying that really the trends that we saw come out of these other elections can still be telling here for Wisconsinites. So what do some of these results say? Really, I think if you were to ask people, it was a big win for Democrats kind of across the board last night.
Right. I mean, you going in, you may have placed bets that Democrats were going to win the governorships in New Jersey and Virginia. Virginia has been, in years past, has been a battleground state, but again, when you look at the trends in the polls, it was looking like it was going to be potentially good wins for Democrats, but they really blew it out of the park in those 2 governors' races, winning by much more than what was maybe expected ahead of time in Virginia and in New Jersey. And even if you look at the counties and how the vote totals broke down in the counties, some of the counties that are majority Republican or conservative districts, they actually continue to vote Republican, but Democrats really, were able to move the needle to the left. So you saw that across those 2 states, Virginia and New Jersey. And so that's a sign for people. Now it is, we're off election year. Midterm elections, we're looking at 2026 when every single House seat will be up for grabs. Control of the U.S. Congress will be up for grabs as well. And you'll see every single House district here in Wisconsin on your ballot in 2026. So we're looking for signs of how is the electorate doing? How, this is this is our big election. We had elections in many states last night. And so we're able to see the direction of the electorate across the country based on the states that voted last night. It gives us a good indication for where we are right now. And I think, talking to Republicans and Democrats today, I think both sides can admit it was a good night for Democrats.
Yeah, I was going to say, we talked a little about the gubernatorial races there, but I think another place we saw a big win for Democrats was out of California, where they voted on Prop 50, which really has to do with redistricting and kind of combating what we saw Texas do earlier this year. Walk us through that kind of big decision coming out of California.
Right, so this is going to mean, pretty much that you're going to have this redistricting happening. Voters had approved this proposition last night, the Proposition 50, as you mentioned. And normally there would be this committee that would draw the congressional lines, but voters approved this, allowing them to redraw the lines. So big. What you talked about, you mentioned the Texas redistricting fight, and now you see California. So it's really going to even out the score for the seats that Republicans are potentially going to be able to add with what Democrats are going to be adding in California. So, but you're seeing this redistricting push across the country right now. And we've seen in Wisconsin, the fight was really through the courts. So we saw that the maps were actually redrawn for the legislative maps. And so we had our first election in 2024 under those new legislative maps. And whereas in the past in Wisconsin, Republicans had almost a supermajority in the state assembly and did have a supermajority in the state senate in Wisconsin. Under these new legislative maps, the margins really have gotten very slim, so that the Democrats in the state senate are just a couple seats away from a majority. They are looking to potentially flip the state senate in 2026. They have a lot of campaigns out there, and when you look at the seats that are up for grabs in those competitive districts, what were considered swing districts in Wisconsin, they are seats that are held by Republicans that Democrats are looking to flip and then potentially take control of the state senate. So that's our redistricting was through the courts, and we had this whole thing play out where you had the Supreme Court say that the Republican drawn maps, legislative maps in Wisconsin, were struck down, they need to be thrown out. And so at the end of the day, the Republican legislature passed Governor Evers' written maps, and the governor signed those maps. That was because Republicans were worried about what would happen if the Supreme Court drew those maps. Once they threw out the Republican-drawn maps, they decided then to pass Governor Evers' maps.
Yeah, Jason, it's actually kind of cool to see you take these trends that we noticed last night and relate them back to the Badger State and how it all matters for us here in Wisconsin, which is also something we're seeing come out of even the mayoral race out of New York City. People are now drawing some comparisons to how that could maybe impact Wisconsin's gubernatorial race next year. Walk me through that, Jason.
Yeah, it's hard to really say, there's been a battle for the soul of the future of the Democratic Party. That was really, in 2024, Democrats were devastated by their losses. They lost every single swing state for the race for the presidency. And they were really trying to regroup and say, okay, what does the future of their party look like? And we saw that battle play out very, very, very clearly in New York City, where you had Democrats running to become the next mayor, and you also had the one who won is a Democratic socialist, and he was the one that won. And it was really this whole battle over the last few months over what is the future of the Democratic Party. And in that big city, the largest city in the country, New York City, they did vote for Zohran Mamdani, who is very young. He's in his 30s, and he is proudly proclaims himself a Democratic socialist. So that was one viewpoint for the future role of the Democratic Party. But then you saw in Virginia and in New Jersey, they elected people that were not as far left as the New York's Mayor Mamdani, more people center left, I would say, in both New Jersey and in Virginia.
And Jason, I know a lot of people are comparing New York City's new mayor, kind of where his stances are and where he is. It kind of lines up a little bit to Wisconsin gubernatorial candidate Francesca Hong, which, how is she polling right now? Obviously, still a ways away,
right?
But how is she polling right now?
Still a year away from Election Day here in Battleground, Wisconsin for the governor's race. But in the Democratic primary field last week, we got a snapshot, and it was the Marquette poll, which is sort of the gold standard polling of Wisconsin elections. And what they found for the Democratic primary, number one candidate for Democrats was, do you know who that was?
Jason, for a quick second, I was looking at a different feed where we're going next on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
I'll just answer the question.
Okay.
Number one candidate for Democrats and for Republicans, if your last name and your candidate is undecided. For both Democrats, Republicans, the number one pick on both sides, undecided. But for number two position on the Democratic side, it's Francesca Hong, who herself is a Democratic socialist. So you see those comparisons with Mamdani, the New York mayoral-elect there, with Francesca Hong, the state lawmaker, who is battling to be the next governor of Wisconsin and proclaims herself to be Democratic socialist. We'll see how she does in this battleground state, but in the latest Marquette poll, she had the highest percentage of all of the declared candidates right now. What's interesting about that is all of those candidates at the top 4 or 5, the top 3, 4, or 5 were all within the margin of error, but she was still top with, I think, about 8% of the Democratic primary voters saying they backed her right now.
Yeah, I'm sure it's kind of a positive sign for her to see what happened in New York yesterday. I know you were saying you're covering a lot in your story today. Anything else that you want to bring up here on the Wisconsin Live Desk before we let you go work on your story?
Well, we still have a year to go, and I think again and again when you talk to voters, when you heard from voters in Virginia and New Jersey and New York City, they in other places as well, they talked about the number one issue, and this is sort of standard when you talk to voters, the number one issue is the economy. But people in 2024 were talking about inflation, and they took that out on the Biden administration. I think in many ways they voted for President Donald Trump in 2024 because of the feeling that inflation was really crushing a lot of people. And still here we are in 2025, and you're hearing that again from people in 2025, that they feel like they can't keep up with grocery prices, utility prices, everything. And so they were looking potentially to send a message, potentially. I mean, this is an off year, but we did see the needle move to the left in these states, more so, and even in those deep red parts of Virginia, where the needle moved a little bit to the left, even though Republicans still maybe won those particular counties, not as strongly as they may have done in the past. So this is a message I think Republicans are taking seriously, that people are still feeling the pinch at the pump, at the checkout line. And so in the next year, you're going to need to see, if you're a Republican, you're really going to need to see a focus on bringing down the cost of living. And so that's one of those things that's a takeaway from last night's election, is that the cost of living is still a challenge for people. And I talked with Professor Mordecai Lee over at UWM. He talked about the happies versus the unhappies. And he said the people that are unhappy right now with the cost of living and just everything like that, they came out very strongly last night and voted. And the people that might be more happy, that might be satisfied and happy with the Trump administration, they did lose, and we saw the margins increase for Democrats in these key states that voted last night.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year as we continue to follow all of these different trends and races. Jason, we appreciate you joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and we'll keep our eyes peeled for your story later today on Fox Local.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
so
make
much.
sure do that a couple more times with the papers, because we're very important people, Jason.
Appreciate it.
Yep, there we go. I love when Jason joins us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. A wealth of knowledge there. I do want to quickly get us out to Louisville. I was talking a little bit there about how I was trying to see where we're going to go next here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. As you can see, the National Transportation Safety Board is currently answering some questions as the media asks them, which might be a little confusing to jump in, but they were providing minutes ago an update on the Louisville plane crash, which was so hard and sad to see these videos come out yesterday of a UPS kind of cargo plane that had some sort of a failure within it crash almost immediately, which means there was so much fuel on board. It immediately went into an explosion. The latest death toll is 9 lives lost now in this, which does include all 3 people on board that plane, but also just some of those that were on the ground dealing with these huge amounts of flames that came out of it. They did announce here in this press briefing that they were able to locate the black box. Now that is what's going to potentially tell them what exactly went wrong on this particular flight that led to systems failing and that crash happening. So I know for a lot of the victims' families that might be able to provide some answers. I know it's not much when you're dealing with such a huge loss, but they did announce they were able to locate that. Again, we heard earlier today from the Kentucky Governor Beshear that he does think that the death toll will continue to rise. There's still a lot of missing people and families trying to find their loved ones after this plane crash. So we'll continue to follow this closely. But again, we do know 9 people are confirmed to have died in this plane crash now, or on the ground as a result of the plane crash. But they, again, were able to find that black box, and we'll be hoping to get some answers as to what went wrong here as they continue to investigate this deadly Louisville plane crash. So that is kind of the latest there. We'll keep our eye on it. Again, they're just answering a few of the remaining questions, but that was kind of the big announcement that came out of that press briefing from what happened. That would have been yesterday afternoon in Louisville. So we're going to take another quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and then we'll have more news and other things to bring to you coming up in just 2 minutes.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. We have just 10 minutes left. This hour has truly flown by, and you know that because I haven't even hit my producer box button once. We haven't even gotten to see Delaney this past hour, so we got to bring her in now. Hi, Delaney.
Hey, Haley.
Should we do question of the day?
Let's do it.
Okay, so this is a really fun question of the day because it's on our website, so everyone gets to participate. So I'm going to pull it up here. It is, what classic holiday character would you most want to be? If you missed it today, really felt like the kickoff of the Christmas season, especially in Milwaukee, as we cut down the Christmas tree that's going to be outside of Fiserv Forum, and they have it in the Deer District now. So I think watching that all happen really inspired this question in our newsroom. Okay, so we have 6 options. We have Buddy the Elf, Santa Claus, Clark Griswold, George Bailey, The Grinch, and Kevin McAllister. Again, it's not who's your favorite, it's who would you most want to be. I think this is, I have a lot of follow-up questions, you know. I think that I said Buddy the Elf requires too much energy. I said Santa Claus, like, you gotta be good at, like, working hard and putting your head down. I mean, that man travels the world overnight delivering toys. I think Clark is probably where I'm leaning towards because, I mean, he gets the bonus. He's got a good family. He's got, you know, some crazy family as well. Don't we all? That's just relatable. And then I was also debating with Kevin, but I wanted to know which Home Alone it is because, no, first of all, the first one, I don't want to be Kevin. He doesn't get to go to Paris. He's got 2 creepy men trying to constantly break into his home, Delaney. That's terrifying. But if it's the Home Alone that's in New York, the man stays at the Plaza. I'm happy to stay at the Plaza and just order room service.
Right?
So I'm between Clark and Kevin. I asked our producer, Matt, who made the poll. He said he was really kind of picturing Home Alone, like the first one. So with that in mind, I'm a vote Clark Griswold. Delaney, where are you at?
I think I'm going to go Kevin McAllister.
First of all, this is shocking me because this is not what you just said moments ago.
No, I did originally say the Grinch because I had a Grinch moment the other day.
Yes.
But I don't know. It kind of would be fun to protect your home the way he does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I mean, he gets to do some crazy things to those guys, those intruders.
Right? And he's like 8.
Yeah.
Really creative ways.
There's some good slapstick in that movie as well.
Definitely.
Also, they live in a really nice house.
They really do.
They really, I mean, they're obviously, you know, they're fortunate enough that the family vacation that year was to go to Paris. So.
I would be bummed, though. Like, you got forgotten
but also,
about
Delaney,
and you went to Paris.
You can milk that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, really, Mom? I can't have this toy at Target? Remember when you left me home alone and went to Paris?
That's true. You could use that forever.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I see what you're saying there. I do also just think of my dad. He loves National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Like, that's his favorite movie, not just like holiday movie. Like, that's his favorite movie of all time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so earlier in Wisconsin Live Desk, I said Delaney was laughing, and that's because Carrie, our digital manager, came up to you because he had a little project with ChatGPT that he was really proud of.
He does.
Okay, so earlier we were talking about this poll in the newsroom, and I said I could never be Buddy the Elf because, like, I just don't have enough energy for that. And you guys said I am Buddy the Elf. Explain this.
I feel like you're Buddy the Elf. You always have a lot of energy. You're always ready to go. You're always excited.
Wow.
So I feel like you give off Buddy the Elf.
I think what it is, you guys, I always have an energy drink. That's honestly what it is. I'm usually on the inside quite tired. So I think it's funny that we are thinking I'm Buddy the Elf. And hold on, I'm going to pull it up here. This is what Carrie made. I look so creepy, Delaney. I'm going to yell at Carrie. Like, there are wrinkles around my eye that I don't actually have. Why am I looking like I'm 45 in this? But he asked ChatGPT to make me Buddy the Elf. I don't even know this is my picture that's on our website.
Yeah, this is your website picture.
Okay, What are your thoughts, Delaney?
I like it. I mean, it definitely makes you look a little bit older, but that's ChatGPT.
Yeah,
It's never going to look 100% like you.
ChatGPT said, let me give this girl wrinkles. That was not nice of ChatGPT.
No, but I love the idea because I do think you remind me of Buddy the Elf sometimes.
I think that is so funny. I don't know that I see this Buddy the Elf comparison. It's just, I just have energy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have the energy.
I do love Christmas, so I will give that. You know what's funny is I joked in the newsroom, I said, Buddy the Elf is always singing, and I cannot sing, but I do sing almost every commercial break here at Wisconsin Live Desk that Delaney has to hear.
Yeah, behind the scenes, you're always singing. You'll do a little dance sometimes.
Also, you guys, this is the photo that Carrie used to make this. We went from this to that? Carrie, if you're watching right now, I'm coming out to the newsroom soon. You couldn't have responded to ChatGPT, take away the wrinkles you just added? Just saying. I don't know what that is, Delaney. But speaking of the holidays, tomorrow's a very exciting day.
It is.
Do you celebrate?
I do.
Of course. You're like, what are we talking about, you guys? We're talking about the return of the Starbucks holiday menu. It is back tomorrow, Thursday, November 6th. What's your favorite holiday drink?
Ooh, I really liked last year the gingerbread chai.
Completely agree.
That was a really good one.
Completely agree. Normally I would say a peppermint mocha, but last year I did that gingerbread iced chai, and that is how I discovered my love for an iced chai.
It's a good one.
Through that menu. Can you pull up this we're going to see if it works. They're obviously not just coming out with the menu tomorrow. There's all the new Starbucks holiday merch, and you guys, I might actually have to go buy this cup. Kim Murphy has just walked into the Wisconsin Live Desk studio.
All about Starbucks.
Do you see how cute that is, Kim?
That is so cute.
It is a little barista tumbler.
Oh my goodness.
So this goes on sale tomorrow. I love that the lid is a little beanie. Delaney, would you buy this?
Absolutely. It's so cute.
Kim's going to buy it. Delaney's going to buy it. I think that I'm going to also try and buy it. I've already put some people on the mission because obviously I'll be working when Starbucks opens. Delaney, maybe I'll have to swing by tomorrow and see what you can find on your way into work.
I know I might have to.
Because they're so cute.
They are.
I love that. All right, hey, well, I'm trying to see what we could dip into for a little bit here, Delaney. Should we go back to router 2? Should we listen in on this interview? Or should we go to router 4? What are you leaning towards?
We could listen in on this interview.
Okay, we're going to go back over here. This is MyEd, as we're going to hear about these projects. We were listening on the presentations. Where fashion students have just designed some clothes that are going to be accessible and usable for those who are in wheelchairs, which is so... Oh, is this not what this is, Delaney? Oh, okay. This is MyEd. Okay, good to know. So we're going to listen in on this interview, and when you come back, Kim Murphy's got you for the last hour here of the Wisconsin Live Desk. Otherwise, I'll see you guys again tomorrow at 1:30.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm just going to step a little bit to your left here. Sorry, this picture has a bit of glare to the
No
light
problem.
Here. Alrighty. Just going to do a quick sound check and we'll be off to the races here.
No problem. Put this so I don't get distracted.
Guys, have to say something for me real quick.
Hi, my name is Sarah Eichhorn.
Perfect. Alright. My focus all good here.
Any like funny hairs?
No, you look great.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Alrighty. So I'm going to start recording now. Could I just have you, feel free to keep looking at me, don't even worry about the camera here.
Perfect.
Could I just have you say and spell your first and last name,
Yes.
and then your position at the school?
Okay, yes, Sarah Eichhorn, SARAHEICHHORN, and I am Associate Professor of the Fashion and Apparel Design Program and Chair of the 3D Design Department.
Wow.
Yes.
Do you mind
Thank
telling
you.
me a little bit about what we were doing here today?
Yeah, today the students in our junior level pattern making and construction 3 course are going to be presenting their final garments for the adaptive clothing project.
And tell me a little bit about how this program started, the adaptive clothing aspect of this.
So the fashion and apparel design program is fairly new, but we are about to have our first graduating class. But within the program, the students have to take 3 pattern making courses. The first 2 are primarily self-based in that they're doing personal fitting. And so this 3rd course, the pattern making and construction 3, is where they're exploring specific clients and doing more human-centered designing.
Wow. I mean, you can see like how much it meant to the models out there. How does it feel for you as an instructor being able to guide these young people into this world?
Being in the fashion industry for the past 20 years myself, and what I've experienced in primarily just designing for the runway and on model size 8, the world's very different today. And especially with our MyAd students, they are more empathetic and they want to be more inclusive within their personal lives and within their chosen careers. And so this is where they're very excited as students to be able to consider the whole aspect of a human, all human, and inclusivity within their designing. So they are really excited and ready to accept these challenges within the world of design and within fashion.
Are there any challenges that you've seen the students kind of overcome through this?
I don't think necessarily challenges, the students didn't necessarily have any challenges. I think it was, again, through the experience and not designing for themselves and to have that client and to listen to the client, I think that was the biggest maybe learning curve for them, of actually being able to kind of pivot in real time and hearing what the client needs, what's working, what's not working, and just all the little details of the garment, from the seams to the closures, just to the fabrication of it, like what feels the best.
Absolutely. I mean, it really showed in their presentations just how much attention to detail they had with even the minute things such as the seams and the buttons. I mean, it was incredible to see that amount of care taken.
Yes.
Do you have anything that you maybe want to say to the broader community, or maybe fashion as a whole, I suppose?
I mean, I think for me, and being in the industry, there's nothing that feels, or that, one of my big motivators for staying in fashion and my love for teaching is there's nothing that feels better than when you're wearing clothing that you feel good in and is self-reflective of who you are, and you know it fits and you can be your true authentic self while wearing that garment. And so to be able to do that, to teach students that, and for the students to have clients that they can share that talent and skill sets with, is just a proud moment for myself. Yeah.
Absolutely. Is there anything that I didn't mention that you want to talk about by chance?
I don't think so.
No, we hit it all on the head.
Yeah,
Or
I think
Shermaine?
so.
All right.
And welcome to the
Okay,
Wisconsin
great.
Live Desk, the 3rd hour of Wild on this Wednesday. I'm Kim Murphy. Thanks for joining us as we check on what's going on locally and around the country. You just heard the tail end of an interview going on about MyAd, a fashion show where students unveiling adaptive clothing. We're hearing a lot about that. Even major retailers like Anthropologie realizing that clothing can be restrictive, or it's not easy for people, everyone, to hop into a pair of pants. Maybe if you are suffering from arthritis, you can't button or, zip the way that someone else can. And so manufacturers, designers are starting to realize that adaptive clothing is necessary. Also, as we, as a population, are aging, things just don't work as easily as they did. It's akin to prescription bottles, now that they're easier and there's a way to grip them, to open them, because the realization that, as we get older, it takes strength to do that, and it's, that's something that we kind of lose with age. And so adaptive clothing was something that was unveiled at MyAd. We're going to take a quick break, look around the horn to see what's going on, and we'll be back right after this.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. We are going to take you right now to Washington to listen in on some testimony that is being given in the Senate. Let's listen in and try to get a feel of what exactly is being discussed this afternoon in the nation's capital, while the government shutdown now officially is the longest in U.S. history. Let's listen in.
Met with any airline lobbies?
I've never met with any airlines on any aviation consumer protection issues.
So you've not met with any airline lobbyists on this rule?
That is correct.
Very interesting. So the Trump administration claims to operate from a position of strength, and yet Secretary Duffy is letting the airlines bully him into submission when it comes to defending the civil rights and dignity of passengers with wheelchairs. Passengers with disabilities can't afford for the Trump administration to screw them over by wasting precious time and refusing to defend and enforce the 2024 rule, and even worse, rewriting it. So if you've not met with any of the airline lobbyists and you've not met with any people with disabilities, why did you choose to suspend this rule?
Again, Senator, and thank you for the ability to clarify that. I mean, I've not worked on any of the aviation consumer protection issues. I'm not in charge of all policy of the department. If confirmed, that would be a significant part of my role. It is not in my role as Deputy Chief of Staff.
So to fill you in on what's happening, this is the Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee holding hearings to examine several nominations to the Department of Transportation. Ryan McCormick would be the Undersecretary of Transportation for Policy. Daniel Edwards has been nominated to be an Assistant Secretary of Transportation for Aviation and International Affairs, and Trent Morse to be a member of the Board of Directors of the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority. And so you're listening to Senator Tammy Duckworth question one of the nominees.
Specific issue, as I mentioned, I know the people in the department have been meeting with disability rights advocates as they've reached out for
Okay,
meetings.
you're not answering my question. Will you meet with me? And I will bring disability advocates and I will bring people in wheelchairs to come talk to you. Will you meet with us to talk about this
Happy
rule?
Happy to.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Blackburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McCormick, I want to come to you. You know, we're working on a surface transportation reauthorization here, and this is something that we in Tennessee really look at as important to economic security, national security, and getting some much-needed certainty on infrastructure projects. We're a growing state. And the traffic around Nashville, Knoxville, Chattanooga shows you how much we are growing. And so I'm looking at things like the formula grants that should be going to high growth areas like Tennessee. We're also looking at some cargo theft issues that are out there. And of course, innovation, which is a priority for us. And with AI, that innovation is going to be important. We're a logistics state. So I'd love to hear what your priorities are.
Thank you for that question, Senator. Absolutely, it's a priority of Secretary Duffy's and the department to make sure that we are building infrastructure in growing areas. This is infrastructure that we want to stand the test of time, exist for 100 years, effectively. We want to make sure that we're going to put federal resources, we're going to do it in states like Tennessee that are growing, that they have needs that we can meet with federal resources. So absolutely, we want to build there.
That sounds...
Listening to a Senate committee considering the nominations for several positions in the Department of Transportation. And while we're at it and we're talking about transportation, let's take a look at our airport, Milwaukee Airport. Some news, not the greatest news for those of us who like a deal when we fly. A carrier is dropping out of the Milwaukee market. Spirit Airlines says they are pulling service from MKE. And this is the reason why. In a statement as part of our efforts to better our position, the airline for the future, we have adjusted our 2026 schedule to better align with our smaller operating fleet and focus on our strongest performing markets. This includes the difficult decision to discontinue service at Milwaukee, that's MKE, Phoenix, Rochester, St. Louis, effective January 8th, 2026. And discontinue seasonal service, Columbia, British Columbia there, effective January 13th. We apologize to our guests. for any inconvenience and will reach out to those with affected travel plans to notify them of their options, including a refund. Thank you to our partners and guests in these communities for their support over the years. Spirit Airlines, I mean, from Milwaukee to Phoenix, that was really, I thought, a popular route, but apparently not popular enough. Spirit Airlines says we are pulling the plug as of January 8th, no longer servicing the Milwaukee market, MKE. Bummer news, right? Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk for this Wednesday. Okay, I'm going to share a new find. I'm late to the party. You guys know that I'm a coffee enthusiast, okay? I love my Colectivo. That's like top. So when anyone says gas station coffee to me, I don't care if I'm on like my last gasp of energy. I'm like, no thanks, I'll be okay. Mary Stoker-Smith last week, she's like, are you sure? Because it's really good. She's like, they brew it right there. She said, I'll just bring you one. Hello? Psh, mind blown. Not only, I'm sorry to say this, less expensive than Colectivo, it's great. And there's like 6 or 7 different options, 6 or 7 different creamers. You go in, you choose what creamer you want. That's a pro tip. Put your creamer in before the coffee, and then it helps kind of like naturally blend. Yeah, and then you choose what coffee you want, and then it grinds the beans, and it brews your cup of coffee. So I was thinking gas station coffee where it's like sitting on the pot, and it's, you know, been there for hours, and it's just the worst. It's like a brick. No. Quick Trip coffee. Where have you been all of my life? And the fact that Quick Trip is open like all the time. I love you, Colectivo, but you close a little bit early for my liking, so I can't possibly get there before you close. Well, now I have an option. It is called Quick Trip. So if you've not tried it, and I know we brag on Quick Trip a lot, and I get gas there, and I think I've gone in as far as the counter, and there's usually like a lot of bananas. On my way to the gym, I'll grab a banana and, you know, leave. Now that I went in to find the coffee, do you know they have food? Like fresh food. Like there's a kitchen in the back of the Quick Trip. I know, you know this, right? I'm late to the party. I know it gets rated highly, like best business of Wisconsin, you know, best employer. Okay, I was just a fan outside at the pumps. They're always clean, they're always lit, they're always fast, they're always working. That's enough for me. Going inside of the Quick Trip, oh my gosh, there's fresh food, there's fresh bakery, there's fresh fruit, there's fresh coffee. It's amazing. So now I understand when I pull into Quick Trip and they have like 10 parking spaces and they're always full. It's because people are inside. They're not even there to get gas. They're inside for all the goodies that are inside the Quick Trip. So yeah, I was late to the party on that, but whew, maybe you too have been late to the party and don't know about the wonderfulness that is Quick Trip. Okay, because we're equal here, we're gonna tell you about Starbucks. Yeah, this is their seasonal mug. What do you call it, Delaney? What is this? Their seasonal...
Yeah, like their seasonal cup.
Their seasonal cup. It's a bear. Isn't that cute? A Bearista? Yeah, it goes on sale tomorrow. And you know people are just going to go mad about this. Not only buying this for themselves, but I bet before noon, these things are going to show up on sites selling it for like $500 because it's so doggone cute. Like the Stanley craze, when Stanley, you know, first blew up, and then all of a sudden, you know, a normal Stanley that was, I don't know, $30 was like, oh, if you want this color, you can spend $200 for it. I don't think so. But again, I'm fair here, and so I'm sharing the coffee news. We'll call this the coffee block. Coffee Talk, goes on sale tomorrow, available as Starbucks officially launches the Christmas season, or the holiday season, I should say. You know, we always look for the mug, or not the mugs, the cups, the red cups, which was controversial a couple years ago because Starbucks decided to just go basic with it. Starbucks, stop it. they're in the middle of kind of a rebrand. I was reading up on it because the Starbucks that's nearest to us in Fox Point closed, and it was a hang. I think that's what kids still say, a hang. Place where they hang out, and they would bike there, and it was just cool. People met there, but it does not meet where Starbucks is headed in the future. They are looking for it to be more of a coffee inn instead of to-go place. So they also are building their new stores with drive-thrus for that option, but they are making the cafes really more welcoming. Windows, ceiling to floor, just nooks for people to do business, to camp out for the day, to really settle in. I think, Colectivo really has that on lock. And so I think Starbucks is kind of seeing that the trend is that people, especially as, so many people are still work from home or they're hybrid, they still looking for places where they can have an office, a remote office. And so Starbucks is hearing that and making that transition. And I believe the location, there's a 60th and Brown Deer, that lot that used to be the blood center. They raised the blood center. It's right across from the Walgreens in Brown Deer. It's been vacant. It was rumored that it was going to be a Starbucks, and then things seemed to stall. Well, if you drive by there now, not at all. The bricks and mortar are starting to take shape, and you can see what I mean. It's a much bigger store, a longer store. So really there is room to just hang out. The old Starbucks models, you come in, maybe there's a table or two, really small, you go to your counter and then you leave. This is more inviting. There's going to be space for people to just kind of come in and spend some hours there. That's what they're hoping to do. So that's your coffee news. Oh, Delaney, we just missed it. A plane just took off from Mitchell. Oh, it's kind of like, it's almost like bingo. If we get a plane landing or taking off, it's really kind of cool. Gosh, if I had been a little bit faster on the punch. All right. So yeah, that's what's happening at the airport in Milwaukee. Spirit Airlines is like, okay, I know it's budget, but still, sometimes that's the only way you're gonna make it, is if you take a budget flight, and Spirit was really good for that. Didn't have the frills, no one's saying it did, but if you wanted a quick weekend in Phoenix, that was something that you could definitely count on Spirit for. We see some birds there. From time to time when we're taking this camera or some of our sky cameras when it's dark, early morning or in the evening, and you see these flashes, and it's like, what is that? That's not a drone, it's not a plane, it's not a helicopter, it's birds. And you see just how fast, like they just kind of, I don't know, have some kind of effect on our cameras. So that's the situation there. Let's talk about something else that we are really excited about, Coats for Kids. We have kicked off our 41st year. 41 years. We have been doing this, started off as Candela Coats for Kids. Vince Candela, long time FOX6 meteorologist, chief meteorologist for Fox for many years. That's a lot of minis. And now is known as FOX6 Coats for Kids. So we are collecting coats now through December 7th. For more info on that, go to fox6now.com, or you can scan. Maybe you don't have a coat. Maybe you don't have kids in your home any longer, but you still want to do something for kids. Well, this is your chance to do that. You can scan and make a monetary donation there, and that money will be used to buy coats for kids. And we know that there are so many kids that really do need coats. Especially the older kids. When we do our donations and things like that, a lot of times we think of the younger kids, and they certainly need coats, but you've seen it like I've seen it. You see middle schoolers who are on the bus stop 6:30 in the morning with just the thinnest of coats, they too need coats. So adult sizes, donate, because they will definitely be used. We are waiting to hear from Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat Hakeem Jeffries, on the government shutdown. It is now the longest shutdown in U.S. history. Coming into work, I was listening to Jammin' 98. They are at the Northcott Neighborhood Center, one of many places spontaneously holding food drives because benefits have stalled. There's been some back and forth with the Trump administration and the courts. 2 federal judges last week said that the USDA has to tap into emergency funds to continue benefits. That hasn't happened yet. President Trump, the administration, said that some benefits will go out, but not in full. They will be less than what people depend on. And so, well, right now they're not getting anything. And so we're hearing a lot about food drives that are popping up around the country, and certainly in our community in Milwaukee. And Jammin' 98, like I said, is at Northcott Neighborhood Center, 6th Street, 6th and North Avenue about, and collecting things for people because they want to help any way that they can. And all Milwaukee police stations, all Milwaukee county libraries are also collecting food. So as you go shopping this weekend, just grab a can of something that's non-perishable, a box of, macaroni and cheese, things like that. Peanut butter. It's nutritious, it's got protein. That's always a go-to. So just think about so many in our community right now who just don't know what is going to happen and how long this situation is going to last. We are going to take a break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We'll be back right after this. UPS plane crashed as it was taking off headed for Honolulu. The death toll now stands at 9 people, and this is just a devastating thing to happen for this area. We heard from officials from the Louisville area saying that Louisville is a UPS town. Everyone knows someone who works at UPS. This is the hub for UPS's operation. 300 flights a day travel through Louisville. And so devastating, the loss of life, and this plane was fueled to fly to Honolulu. So there is a lot of fuel that is burning. It also crashed into some ground buildings that also had some materials that made this a very volatile situation. So as soon as Sean Duffy begins to speak, we will take him. We are also following what is happening. This is a Senate committee questioning 3 nominees for the Department of Transportation. That is Senator Ted Cruz there. So let's listen in to a little bit of the questioning there.
They agree with those sentiments. I have 28 letters of support from various organizations for the nominations of Mr. McCormick, Mr. Edwards, and Mr. Morse. I ask unanimous consent that these letters be inserted into the hearing record. Without objection, so ordered. Senators will have until the close of business on November 7th to submit questions for the record. The nominees will have until the close of business on November 10th to respond to those questions. This concludes today's hearing. The committee stands adjourned.
All right, just like that, that committee is adjourned. You were listening to the tail end of that. 3 people are being nominated for different positions within the Department of Transportation. As is customary, there is always a committee hearing on those nominations where they face questions. We heard from Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois questioning the nominees on their positions on wheelchair accessibility and the rollback of accessibility at airports, and that has happened under the Trump administration. Some of the requirements no longer are in existence, and asking the nominees on their position on that and whether they would champion those, the reestablishment of those things that were in place, and would they be willing to meet with groups, advocacy groups. And we did hear from one nominee saying yes, that would definitely be something that he would be open to. So what else is going on around the world? Well, let's talk about Black Friday. I know, it's coming up sooner than you think. It is a tradition here in Wisconsin. If you are off, it actually starts Thursday, Thanksgiving. People leave the family, get some fresh air. They head to Lakefront Brewery, and these are going to be the Black Friday beers. The 2025 Black Friday Imperial Stout, the 2025 Black Friday Triple Black IPA, the 2025 Black Friday Wheat Wine Ale, and the 2025 Black Friday Imperial Coffee and Cacao Nib Stout. Okay, I'm intrigued by that last one. You had me at cacao. So it's fun to just stand out there at Lakefront Brewery. You don't even have to be a beer drinker. First of all, they're collector's items because there's artwork that's associated with the labels on those beers. So that's fun. Get them for a gift. Get them just to say, I don't even know if people actually drink them or if they save them or what their, ritual or routine is, but it's just fun to go to Lakefront after Thanksgiving. That's the only tradition that's really has remained as things have changed. Remember Black Friday, everyone would head to the mall, they would head to the big box stores, stand in line for the latest video game or gaming system. It doesn't happen anymore. Just doesn't. That was fun, just being out there in the line, at 3 o'clock in the morning from my wake up days, coming into work. It was the busiest time of the year. I knew it was Black Friday without knowing that it was Black Friday because there was so much traffic, because people were actually out and about. They were going to Target, they were going to Toys R Us, they were going to Best Buy to, grab the deals, the TV sets and all that kind of stuff. So that doesn't happen anymore. But Lakefront has managed to keep a tradition going where people do line up. Some folks, I think there's a person who's been the first person in line for like consecutive years, starting Thanksgiving Eve. Don't know if that has a lot more to do with the family dynamic. I don't know, but that's what's happening on. All right, hold that note. This is what we call a tease. Slayonce. Beyonce's talking about her holiday collection. I didn't know this was a thing. Apparently it is. But let's go now to Washington. Hakeem Jeffries and other Democrats are now speaking as the government shutdown now is the longest in U.S. history.
And DCCC Chair Susan Del Bene. Last night was a big night for the American people, and of course a big night for the Democratic Party and our candidates who were successful all across the country in making it clear to the American people that we're going to fight to lower the high cost of living, to stand up for them, improve their quality of life, address the Republican health care crisis, and push back against the extremism that is being unleashed with record speed on the American people. It's clear that last night was also a decisive repudiation of Donald Trump and failed Republican policies. America is too expensive. The cost of living is way too high. Donald Trump and Republicans promised that they would lower costs on day one. Costs aren't going down, they are going up. Inflation is going up. Housing costs out of control. Grocery costs out of control. Child care costs out of control. Electricity prices through the roof. And now that we are in day 36 of the Trump Republican shutdown, it's clear that because of the Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, tens of millions of Americans are about to dramatically experience increases in their premiums, copays, and deductibles, which will make it unaffordable for them, their children, and their families to go see a doctor.
And you're listening to Hakeem Jeffries there speak for the Democrats. Republicans say that this shutdown, now the longest in U.S. history, is the fault of Democrats. Republicans say they are willing to pass short-term a deal to get the government back open and then visit the health care issue as a separate issue. They do not want these two tied together. Democrats fear that if not now, then never. If this is separated, these issues, that this will not come around again, and that any leverage that they have and getting those subsidies returned, they will have lost. So again, this is the Democratic response to last night's elections, notably in New York City, the mayor, the governor's race in New Jersey and Virginia. All three races won by Democrats.
Mike Johnson and John Thune have zero authority to act on their own. And over the last 36 days, Donald Trump has been too busy throwing parties designed to elevate the lifestyles of the rich and shameless. He's been too busy on the golf course. He's been too busy destroying half the White House. And he's been too busy finding $40 billion for the people of Argentina, and yet can't find a dime to prevent children in this country from going hungry. The American people have had enough, and the results last night across the country have made that clear. It's now my honor to yield to the whip, Catherine Clark.
Again, if it's happening now, we are going to take it now. So a little bit of what's going on in Washington and what is not going on. Let's take you locally, shall we? Port Washington. So what is going on here? Well, isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that gorgeous? Port Washington there, live picture. The city of Port Washington is proud to announce the completion of the restoration of the historic Port Washington Breakwater Lighthouse. By the end of the day, the fence blocking access to the breakwater will be removed. This project has been years in the making and represents a collaboration between local partners, preservationists, the Port Washington community. The lighthouse is more than a landmark. It's a reflection of who we are as a city, says the mayor, resilient, forward-looking, and deeply connected to our waterfront. This was a $2 million project. The Department of Transportation, a program, a grant for the preservation of historic things helped pay for this. This is huge. So the city is just over the moon that this is finally done, and we're going to see the groundbreaking, or I should say the ribbon cutting, but this is in Port Washington. The restoration of the Port Washington Breakwater Lighthouse is complete, and what a beautiful day. I mean, I know that it's breezy and probably a little bit biting there on the lakefront, but boy, is it gorgeous. We're gonna take a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Wait, no, we're not. We're gonna listen because it looks like they're getting ready to cut the ribbon. Let's listen.
Faces from the cold. It's the best. So I just wanted to welcome all of you out here. I know Melissa and Roger are going to say a couple things, but and I mean to say this humbly, but this is the only reason I ran for mayor was because looking out at our rusty lighthouse drove me crazy, and I thought that's a horrible symbol or example of who we are as a community. And with the help of the council, the city administrator, Rob, and the grants, our tax dollars back from 20 years of the federal government. I was sent an email today to remind me to tell you that those were our dollars given back to us. But using those dollars in a way to further preserve our lighthouse for the next 50 years is just fantastic. So this gift that we got from the federal government years ago is now our property and our responsibility, just like everything you see over my shoulder. And I think this is a really good start for where we're heading as a community and everything that we're doing. So I really want to make sure to highlight a few people. I really am grateful for the Common Council that I get to sit next to and work next to every week or every 2 weeks. Their ability and willingness to invest in the infrastructure of our city. Second, I really appreciate the creativity of Rob Vandenhoven and chasing dollars to get projects that we can then afford to work on and pay for. And all of you for putting a positive pressure on us to do it. Had we not had community support to engage in this, I don't know that we'd be here today. But one of the things I really want you to do as you walk away is, I saw something on the lighthouse I don't think I've seen since I was little, which was that it shined. So as you walked out, the top of the lighthouse was reflecting the sun. I have a good friend here today who from his house says, I never knew the lighthouse could be so bright white. And now when the light is blinking at night and the horn's going off and the solar batteries are charged and it's lit up, just remember that this is where we live and this is where we get to be. And many of us travel around and get to go see things, but boy, there's no place like coming home to Port Washington. And I'm super grateful for all you do to make this place such a great city and to position us all today to celebrate this amazing monument to Port Washington, the symbol it is for the state of Wisconsin and our country. So thank you for all of that, and I want to introduce Melissa Gossett and Rob, our Director of Public Works. We should clap.
Thanks everyone for coming. It's really overwhelming to have this kind of support for it. We want to thank the mayor for his supporting it, the Wisconsin Council, Melissa. So happy we can be joined today by Mike Freeze from Wisconsin Coastal Management. They've been great partners with the city of Port Washington on so many projects. You look up and down our shoreline here, they've touched so many from part of the harbor, Full Dock Park, Rotary Park, and Upper Lake Park, and the lighthouse. So it's a super quick story. Before the Wisconsin Coastal Management grants were due a few years ago, I called Mike and I said, hey, we could really use some help with the lighthouse. Do you think Wisconsin Coastal Management would support that? And he said, probably not, but submit an application anyway. And I thought, right? It takes about 2 days to do it, but I'll do it. And so, you know, lo and behold, they supported us again. That's what gave us the opportunity to design this work, working with Legacy Architects, FOX6 here today. You know, if we don't get that seed money in order to design the lighthouse, we don't have a project that's ready for when the federal redistribution came out back in February of last year. We applied for that. Rosalind Burns is here from Wisconsin DOT. I'm so grateful to her. She helped me out somewhere here, and she's somewhere here, and I'm so grateful. She kind of walked me through the grant process, really helped me out, was an advocate for it. It's a great partnership with DOT. They've been great partners with us on many projects. It was an opportunity through their historic transportation structures program, and so I don't think they give out a ton of those, and so I'm really super glad we were able to get that. So that partnership was critical. They paid for 80% of the reservation for the lighthouse. Wisconsin Coastal Management covering half the cost of the design. Super grateful for them. Roger Strom, I couldn't have done this without Roger's help. It was a big job getting the grant application filled out. And so he brought it across the finish line and then managed the construction, and so grateful. And do we have people from TMI here? I'm sorry that okay. Well, I'm going to thank them anyway. TMI Construction, as you might imagine, there's a lot of painters in the world. There aren't a lot of lighthouse painters in the world. And so we're super grateful that we were able to get 2 bids for this project. They were the low bidder. The project came in, was bid under budget. So again, kudos to Legacy and the job they did helping us estimate the project so that we were able to ask for the right amount of money, get that money, bid it for that amount of money, and bring it in even a few dollars under budget. So we're super grateful for that too. I want to make sure I didn't forget anyone. I haven't. Thanks again, everyone, for coming. I'm super proud of this. I'm proud to work for the city of Fort Washington. We have a beautiful shoreline. This is unlike any city in Wisconsin or maybe anywhere. So I love it. Thank you very much.
The council, the mayor was very adamant that we do this project, and it seemed like a very big long shot, and it's awesome that this came to fruition. I'm a sailor, so lighthouses mean a lot. It is actually telling you you're going home, and you know, when I first got hired here, that was when I came to the city, it's like this feels like home. So it means a lot to not just the city, but everyone that comes into our port. We do have our staff here, and I want to thank them. You know, even beautiful days like this are very chilly when you're not in the sun. So Dennis and Lisa, thank you for your help. Mandy helped put this together, and I appreciate you all making this long, cold walk out here. And then I just want to thank the community for coming out for this. And we're going to get a few pictures, do the ribbon cutting, and then we'll send you on your way. Anything else?
2 things. One is I was told we were having a kegger out here. Well, I did in 1988, and it was amazing. But we're going to do the ribbon cutting in a second, and what we'll do is I asked Dennis, our harbor master, to hold one end, and Mike Gasper, our alderperson and harbor commissioner, as well as all-around safety guy and team historian. And while they set up the ribbon, staff and council, we're going to get in the center of this picture. But before, as you get in line here, I just want to share the last thing is, like, the coolest experience you could have as a townie would be to get on top of the lighthouse. There were 2 ways to do it. Both were illegal. So when they put the framework up early on, and Roger and I came out, the coolest thing ever was I got to go up there with a lifetime friend of mine named Bill Shannon, who I went to grade school and high school with, and played soccer with in high school. And he obviously is from the Ozaki Press. We climbed up there, and we got to the very, very top. Dennis took us out on a little putt-around boat, and I never realized how high this lighthouse actually was. Because Dennis was this big. But if you ever get the opportunity to stand on top of the lighthouse in your hometown and look out at the world, it was, and Roger can say, it's in It's the best view in town. So guys.
Actually, guys, I think you all take the ribbon up towards the sunlight. Walk out to the sun.
Of course, listen to Sam.
Walk to the sun. A little further. Okay, right there. Now, everybody get in there. A little more. There's a lot of room. Step into the sun. Yeah, all right. You guys want to do a little countdown with me? 3, 2, 1.
Yay! There's nothing like a ribbon cutting. That is what is happening in Port Washington. A little history of the lighthouse. The original one was built in 1849 and reconstructed in 1860. A different lighthouse, the Port Washington Breakwater Lighthouse, was completed in 1935, and that's the one that's just been restored for $2.6 million. But it is the pride of Port Washington, so pretty cool to see. This was covered with scaffolding for a while, and to now finally see that it is open and you can enjoy it just the way it was meant to be enjoyed there. Just a gorgeous day for that. And Delaney, is our photojournalist Tanner?
Yeah, it is.
Tanner, thanks for the beauty shots. Much appreciated. Just gorgeous. Port Washington, not far from our Brown Deer studios, and just a really nice drive, especially on a fall sunny day. So get up there if you can. And that's what that was. So we're going to dip in. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy was just speaking about air traffic controllers and the situation during the shutdown. So let's dip in and listen to some of the updates.
Seeing some of these reports come to us. And as we slice the data more granularly, we are seeing pressures build in a way that we don't feel will, if we allow it to go unchecked, will allow us to continue to tell the public that we operate the safest airline system in the world. And we're not going to react to that, and we intend to be proactive. So we're going to implement measures with our commercial airline industry partners, but this is going to go beyond commercial airspace. It's going to include restrictions on space launches, restrictions on VFR traffic in certain markets that have continued FAA controller staffing triggers, and a host of other countermeasures, if you will, that will give us the highest level of comfort that we're maintaining the safest aviation space in the world. And that's the mission. But we do recognize that the controllers have been working fastidiously for the last 5 weeks with this huge burden over their head of lack of compensation. And we are starting to see some evidence that that fatigue is building in the system in ways that we feel we need to work towards relieving some of that pressure. So again, as the Secretary said, we've identified 40 high traffic environment markets. We'll be happy to share that later. We have decided that a 10% reduction in scheduled capacity would be appropriate to, again, continue to take the pressure off of our controllers. And as we continue to see staffing triggers, there will be additional measures that will be taken in those specific markets. Again, I think it's a holistic plan. I really appreciate the men and women at the FAA who have been working this situation from the get-go. I want to applaud the controllers who continue to come to work on a daily basis, keeping our system safe. But I also want to recognize the fact that the data is telling us we need to do more, and we are going to do more. And I want to reassure the American travelers that it is absolutely safe to fly in the American skies. So with that, I'd be happy to turn it over to you, Mr. Secretary, and or take any questions that you have.
Yeah, I want to reiterate, this is proactive. We don't want to find ourselves in a situation, I think the administrator said, we don't want the horse out of the barn and then look back and say there were issues we could have taken that we didn't. So we are going to proactively make decisions that keep the space, the airspace, safe. With that, we're happy to take any
those restrictions start Friday, is that correct?
Those are going to start Friday morning.
And how are you going to apportion those among the airports, the airlines? Is this something the airlines have to do, come up with their own 10%?
And I'll let Brian address that, but again, it's going to be based on the locations, the 40 locations that we feel the pressure, and how that's going to be implemented. Brian, I'll let you answer that.
So to fill you in, this is huge. Starting Friday, you're hearing from the Transportation Secretary. He kind of forewarned that this was going to happen, that parts of U.S. airspace may be forced to close because of air traffic control staffing shortages amid the government shutdown right now. Air traffic controllers are working without pay, and that has led to a shortage of anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 controllers. And now you're hearing 40 markets or so. There will be some restrictions. So starting Friday. So let's listen in to what that exactly means.
Well, if that's 4,000, 3,500, 4,000 flights, and it's a significant number. And how do you think the airspace or the system is going to handle that dramatic reduction in such a short period of time?
Well, again, we're trying to lean into the fact that when we see pressures building in these 40 markets, we just can't ignore it, and we're not going to wait for a safety problem to truly manifest itself when the early indicators are telling us we can take action today to prevent, things from deteriorating. So the system is extremely safe today. It will be extremely safe tomorrow. And if the pressures continue to build even after we take these measures, we'll come back and take additional measures. So again, we're trying to be prescriptive, surgical, put the relief where the relief will do the most good. But again, we are not going to do anything that will compromise the safety of air transport in the United States.
Thank you. Grady Trimble with Fox Business. I'm wondering, in the same vein as David's question, is there a plan to make sure that one airline isn't disproportionately affected, or one route or city or multiple cities aren't disproportionately affected by this? And to your knowledge, when was the last time this type of thing happened, and how did it go?
Well, I'm not aware in my 35-year history in the aviation market where we've had a situation where we're taking these kind of measures. Then again, we're in new territory in terms of government shutdowns. Also, I think we've learned things through the mishap, the tragic accident with DCA and PSA 5342. So.
Again, you're hearing the Transportation Secretary respond to what is going to go into effect on Friday. This is huge. Taking steps to deal with the shortage of air traffic controllers amid the government shutdown. On Tuesday afternoon alone, there were more than 1,800 flights traveling within, to, and out of the U.S. that were delayed. More than 50 were canceled. That's according to FlightAware. Newark Liberty International Airport, JFK International Airport in New York accounted for most of those delays, with more than 150 delays, 14 cancellations between them. Phoenix's Sky Harbor International also had delays because of staffing issues. So what has just been announced that starting Friday in 40 markets, there is going to be some kind of parts of the airspace will be closed down. What that means, we are still kind of sorting out, but it is to deal with the air traffic controller shortage. The controllers have been working without pay for now 36 days, and the number of missing controllers, it's mounting. And so the government says that the air is safe, but this is a preemptive move to make sure that it stays that way. So this is something we definitely are going to be following on Fox 6 News at 4. So we invite you to follow us there. So let's do a round robin of what exactly is happening this evening. NTS has given an update on the crash that happened at the Louisville International Airport, and we now can tell you that the engine of that UPS plane, the left wing, caught fire and an engine fell off just before it crashed and exploded after takeoff in Kentucky. Federal investigators say this is the first details that they have into this disaster. We now know that 9 people died. First responders searching for more victims a day after that crash. It created an inferno that consumed an enormous aircraft. This was fuel to fly from Kentucky to Honolulu, so a big aircraft with a lot of fuel to burn, and it did spread to nearby businesses when that crash happened, and so we saw that. So the plane gained enough altitude to clear the fence at the end of the runway before crashing off of airport property. That is the latest from authorities on that. We are also hearing more about, what else can I tell you that is going on this afternoon? FEMA. If you are an individual and you are looking to apply for federal assistance, even though the government is closed right now, federal assistance or small business loan, SBA loan, because of the flooding in August, you have 1 week to do so. The deadline to apply is November 12th. So if you have any question about that, do search out information. The county has information on its website. Call, find out more on that so that you do not miss the deadline. It is November 12th. This is now the longest government shutdown in U.S. history with no end in sight. Both sides are really digging in, saying that no way are they going to talk about this. Democrats say it's got to be about health care. We've got to find a way to include those subsidies that are expiring, the ACA subsidies that are expiring this year. They've got to be included in any kind of budget resolution. And Republicans say, no way, this should be a separate issue altogether. And so no one is talking. So that's where we stand with that. Want to leave you with a little bit of lighter news. Delaney, if you could pop up that super. Beyonce apparently is trying to get in on the Christmas business. I thought that it was firmly established that Mariah Carey was the queen of Christmas. Well, Slayonce has returned. I didn't even know this. So this is like the third or so year that Beyonce has launched a Christmas collection. It was ridiculous, like a hoodie for $110 that says stay cozy or been cozy or something like that. I don't know if you're a fan. It's inspired by her Cowboy Carter era, so a lot of that you're going to see. She did perform at the halftime show last year, nominated for an Emmy, but she's still not the queen of Christmas. It is Mariah Carey.
Hi everyone, my name is Lou Cadellis at Fox 32 Chicago, and you are watching First and North. Welcome in. Joining me this week on First and North. From Fox 2 in Detroit, Jennifer Hammond is back. From Fox 6 Milwaukee, Lily Zhao back on the show. And from Fox 9 in Minneapolis, Pierre Nugent returns. All right, everyone, NFC North race, man, it has tightened up. Green Bay's a 2